It's been a long journey. You've watched the red pill go from a nice internet space where guys talked openly and honestly to a clown show of white claws, Bugattis, human trafficking, and yelling at OnlyFans girls for clout. These are the stories of the good times. The church failed to help. Family failed to help. Feminism had 3 generations and failed miserably. Men do what men gotta do. We get together and do it ourselves. These are our stories.
Rhinestone, another fucking fact.
Praxeology, Volume 3, on Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook.
Who is this guy?
'79T 2458 Learning Corp. Little Red Riding Hood. Take 1.
All right, what can I say? I hate the sphere, but I love my job.
Man, I do have to say, of everybody that I know on this internet thing, you put the most effort into your commercials, and it really shows, man. It's great. I was laughing so much during that.
Thank you, sir. Dude, I got to give credit to Nuke. That part at the end where he's like, who is this guy? I don't know what it was. That inspired that whole thing. So I got to give big shout outs to Nuke there. Plus, he took one for the team.
He did. He did take one for the team.
Wasn't that what everybody's been asking? Would somebody please dick down this redhead? And he's like, got you, fam.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah. What were we talking about just before this? I'll figure I'd get these guys in on it.
How your country is fucked.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where to start. No, it was the British one. And then Tate running his stupid thing.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Oh, about the grooming gangs. That's the one. Yeah. So the reason I remember that was because it was the Kamala Harris campaign and the Trump campaign during your guys' election. Mm-hmm. I guess Trump's campaign was running ads, and they found they had to tone down. Like, they couldn't just accurately say what the Democrats in the People's State were doing because people didn't believe it because it was so crazy. And then the Democrats learned that they had to tone it down too because nobody believed that they were actually doing that. So we all had to like collectively lie. Like, it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's exactly what's going on right now in Britain. Like, nobody can believe what you were saying? 1 out of 2.
Well, it's like in some of the cities, when you take down the numbers, because it's not women that are raping the girls, right? It's the men. Right. So it's like 1 out of 2 men, like Pakistanis in some of these cities is,
graping. They're groping the kids.
Yeah.
And then they're arresting the people who get mad about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you're bringing up how everyone kind of has to lie about how bad things are. You definitely feel that when you're talking to like boomers. You know, they're like, oh, well, it's not that bad. Like fucking hell it is.
Yeah.
For you, maybe.
At least you guys, you don't have as many unions. Up here, there's a lot of people with like indexed government pensions or indexed union pensions who have their house paid for outright because they bought it in the 80s for 20 grand. And they have they're in a bubble, like complete economic bubble. They have no idea what's going on with the rest of us. And that's the frustrating part. Like, did I ever tell you the story about the one boomer? I don't want to say her name, but she was a friend of a family. And we had a bunch of millennial girls with us. They were complaining because like, I want to teach my kids horseback riding, but the equestrian thing is just too expensive. And the other one's like, yeah, I want my kids to go to baseball, but there's no infrastructure here for baseball, so I have to take them down to the States. And she's like, you guys are effing whiners with your entitlements. And I was like, they're not talking about avocado toast here. They're talking about trying to give their kids something they enjoy. But she's like, my parents, they had to live in a dirt shack when they came here from Ireland. And I realized like halfway through the conversation, she's not saying how hard she had it. She's saying how hard her parents had it. She's like stolen valoring that stuff.
Yeah.
And then like no sense of irony. Her next line was, yeah, I was we went and traveled Machu Picchu and lived down in Southeast Asia for a year and then came back home and went back to, like, all I could think of was you in your head, like, Night of the Pillows, can't come fast enough.
Yep, 100%. Do you watch much of Cappy's shows? Not really.
Actually, you'd be surprised. He's probably the one I watch the most because usually when I'm working, he'll have something on and it's like, I've heard him bitch about the goddamn Democrats enough that I can kind of have it on the background and still edit videos without losing focus. So yeah.
that one of the intros that he does, his buddy, the great one, is bitching about boomers. He's gotta hate boomers is just so perfect because you run into this conversation all the time with these people where every one of them thinks they're a financial wizard and a genius, but really you just bought your house for $20,000 and just watched it, hyper increase in value. Yeah, exactly. And you can't like tell any of this like to their face because so much of their identity, especially like the conservative Republican ones, is tied up in pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and working super hard and being a good financial wizard. And it's like, bitch, like you're 75 years old. You just bought a $200,000 Corvette. Like, fuck off. You're not a financial wizard here. You just took a reverse mortgage on your house that you bought for 10 cents.
Yeah, the amount of debt. I don't know how that's going to. So I don't know if it's the same there, but here, like every boomer I know is up to their asshole in debt, like insane credit card debt, mortgage debt, like they remortgage their houses, like just debt everywhere, lines of credit. And so what are they expecting to do when the boomers pass on? Like, what's that going to happen with that? Is that just like the start of, is that the new 2008 crisis? Is that the Ferdinand, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand for the financial system? Like, what is this?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Chesty, oh dude, Chesty's like, yeah, that's where you better have your ammo and your bottled water ready to go. I don't know. I honestly don't know how to process it. All I know is that every time I see some intellectual talking about it, that he's probably wrong.
I don't know. There's a historical figure, Solon. He was a ruler of Athens, just after the Peloponnesian War, I think, and he did a debt jubilee in the city. He just canceled all debt in the whole city for everyone. And he was beloved for it, and then the economy took a huge boom afterwards. I mean, is it applicable now?
Isn't that the ending of Fight Club?
I don't know.
Tyler as Dirtiness. Oh, I guess that's Roman.
Yeah. I don't know what we're gonna do about this. I mean, I was talking about this last night. I'm often on these late night Twitter spaces with a couple of my friends, Mr. D and everyone, and we were talking about how, I don't know, call me like a tanky or a Luddite or something, but
you gotta define terms, man. I'm not as terminally online as I present.
Right.
What's a tanky and what's the Luddy?
A tanky refers to like a Trotskyite, like
okay,
pinko
commie.
Yeah, or and like a Luddite would be the characters that smash the Yeah,
so you just hate like the Amish technically. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's just the more I see this kind of stuff, it's just I just hate like corporatism and big business. There's way too many people. None of the stuff is actually for any of our benefits. And it's like, oh great, so Google and Apple stocks get to increase a bunch, but we've just given our technology to the third world and they're a senseless growing biomass. It's like just fuck all of this. I'm increasingly just not caring about economic arguments at all.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. What was the new one? It's over here. I always love this. Like, who's got it worse? Like, I always win, but it's nice to hear another perspective. We imported 5 million immigrants in the last 3 years, something like that, after COVID.
Yeah, my God.
And that's not even the worst of it. But the point was now, like, all the blathering is about, well, now that they got to go home, we can't afford, you know how much that would cost? It's like, now we're worried about fiscal responsibility because we were just printing money for Ukraine. We were printing money for COVID. Now it's like, we got to buckle down. Save every penny.
They do the same thing over here. They only ever evoke economic arguments when it's like against something that you want to do. They're like, oh, well, this is going to cost so much. It's like, well, it costs way more by having these people here. So they should all fucking leave.
I don't even care about, like, because maybe it's the red pill thing. The one nice thing about it is when you're dealing with humans, it kind of makes it a little easier. When you start giving reasons, it gives the person arguing with you a vector to like argue with. It's like when you start, I'd like to come over tonight, but I can't. I got this thing. Then they think they get to argue with you about your thing if it's really important. It's like, just no. No is no. That's why they have to go. That you have to go back to, I think, is the greatest. If you really have to argue, and I would say you probably shouldn't, but if you do, you have to go back to, I think, is the only argument worth having.
Oh no, yeah. I mean,
because what is it you said? Like, everybody now, it's just what can you get away with? It's the Millennium dialogues or Millian.
Yeah, Nemean or something. Or yeah, I know what you're talking about. Forget the pronunciation, but yeah. I mean, we're just so far past the point of arguing with these people. We know it's not in good faith. We know you don't have your best interests at heart, and it's just fuck you. It's like I don't care about your arguments, even if they are correct. Mine's better. Leave.
Yeah. You don't have to, and yeah, it's assertive Bill of Rights. You don't have to give a good reason. You don't have to give. They're not owed a reason. You're allowed to be irrational. You're allowed to be emotional. You're allowed to change your mind. Just basic assertiveness, and it's just I enjoy seeing that kind of percolate. It's one of the few good things I've seen of the Red Pill that spread. Like, yeah, the White Claw stuff's there, and everybody loves yelling at Whammon. But like the occasional assertive Bill of Rights stuff sneaking in there, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Backdoor masculinity.
I mean, obviously, I know people still have to watch these shows because they're still around, but it's like how do they just like bring in new people from like TikTok or something? Is it just a bunch of like Indians from the third world who've just like come online and are watching this stuff? Like, I don't get it. It's been around for like 5 or 6 years at this point.
Oh, are you talking like White Claw Power Hour?
Yeah. It's like I remember when it first came out. It's like, yeah, I mean, it was kind of entertaining, but every single show is literally exactly the same. So how are you still watching it?
Well, here's my question: how long did Jerry Springer run for?
Oh, like forever.
Well, I'm gonna look it up now. We'll see. I don't want to know about his guy. I just want to know how long the series went for. 91 to 2018.
Wow.
The thing that gets me though is how many OnlyFans girls are there? Because if Fresh and Fit, they bring 5 girls on every episode, 3 girls. I don't really watch it. I just see screenshots, but you got to run out. It's like TED Talks. TED Talks were great because they had like all the greatest experts in the world. But then after like 2 years, they're like, we're running out of experts. And they started bringing in guys like, I can invent new math. And stupid stuff like that. Yeah, like you would even like old TED. Like I know it's a bit of a joke now, but I remember there was this one it was Belgian or no, he might have been Dutch, but he's a general. And he was talking about how he didn't choose the pen, he chose the gun, and the gun is why we have peace. And he made like this big case for why the gun is the greatest invention for democracy. Like you'd never see something like that nowadays.
Well,
and he brought it on stage. He had his AR and he just plopped it on there and he set it out.
Nice. I mean, he's obviously correct too. I mean,
and that's coming from one of those places that like, NATO, US will handle it. Like even he was like, I'm just surprised. Oh, all right. Here, I'm going to give a quick super chat. Shout out to Andrew Tate's Romanian passport. Saw a clip of Crowder and friends whine about dad bods and how hard the male beauty standard is to get a Whammon. Trad Cook deserves what he got. Oh, is he at the stage where like all of his TV episodes now are him thinly veiled ranting about his bitch ex-wife?
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know. We should send him back too. You guys can take him.
Oh yeah, it's Montreal. I understand. As soon as you get a Quebecer, like I don't know if you like Gavin or not, but he was also a Quebecer, and you kind of, the way he acts, you tell like that's what a Montreal Quebec person does.
I don't know. I'll just say this. I generally really dislike Canadians, aside from the Canadian that is currently on the call right now.
I'm not a very good one though. I like mac and cheese. I don't watch hockey. I hate government assistance. But to be fair, I just was the one who got like the brunt force of Canadian pride, so that's probably why I'm not feeling very Canadian anymore. But I'm with you. I don't think it's their fault. It's just like if you can't ask a fish about water, it has no idea of what the concept means. Like I think the one I did a Substack post on this one. The Christmas season, everybody's talking, hey, how's the family doing? How's the family doing? We talked to a bunch of them. I realized like I have like some really successful friends from the military times. Then I have some people that are just kind of getting by normally. And the ones that are just getting by, every one of them, their wife now has this new government job that they agree is kind of like just like a Sisyphus thing. And I realized like, yeah, how are you going to tell these people that we need to cut back spending? Like they're not going to argue. They're going to argue for their own self-interest, and everybody is. So we got this big prisoner's dilemma where everybody is kind of reliant on government, but the government here was smarter than in the States in that they do it as like a jobs program. So you feel like, no, I'm contributing. I'm the one who checks the letterheads every email that goes out, or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like Milei, that Argentinian guy, kind of addressed this. because it was just sheer will. He just came in. He's like, afuera. He's just, firing.
Oh yeah, he just fired everybody.
Yeah, he just fired literally everyone. Which, I mean, it seems like that's just what you have to do. And the problem is over here is that everyone's just so spineless. They just
afraid of making anybody else mad at them.
Well, there's that, but there's also like this boomer thing where it's like they really like actually genuinely believe in like democracy. And it's like, can you not be so gay? Just get in there and start telling people what to do, and we could fix so many of our things just like that. All it just requires is the will, and you need to not care what CNN says about it. And it's like, how do you guys not know at this point that nobody's fucking watching any of these?
We know. That's the thing
they
too.
Don't.
Like,
that's the thing.
Like, how do they not though? Because like in Canada, for example, that's exactly what Trudeau did. Just whatever the hell he wanted to do. And not only that, he's like, "Oh no, this is good. You'll love it." And then when he's like, "Anybody who hates this is a racist," and then it's just great. Because how do you not see that? He just did whatever he wanted to, and nobody cared. And everybody who did care, he called him a racist, and then they shut up. It's like, you could do that. You could easily do that. Yeah. Send them all home. Oh, they're gonna get really mad. They probably will.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is why you have to have admiration for a lot of these like left-wing politicians. Like in the American context, your FDRs, your Lyndon B. Johnsons, even like Barack Obama. All these people just did not give a shit about the quote-unquote laws and the checks and balances of the system. They literally just
chattering classes, they call it.
Yeah, they're like, this is how it's going to be. This is what's going to happen. And I mean, I guess it's nice for them too, because they do have the backing of the mainstream media to pull cover for them at every possible opportunity. But yeah, you just need to not care.
Well, it's for you guys. For us, that's the thing too. Like, our media is heavily subsidized by the government, so they have the purse strings. Do you know how easy it is to get somebody to think like, oh yeah, you're right? If you're like, well, it's either I'm right or you don't get paid. That's the other thing. Everybody's spineless, and that's the reason I don't think Canada is. Well, I've given up, but like, were you like, I hate all Canadians? I think a lot of it is like, once you change the environment, they'll probably snap to pretty quick and be that old school World War I Geneva Convention Canada that I grew up remembering.
It'd be nice. I mean, I sent.
Well, I mean, not the war crimes, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I sent you that that tweet earlier this week where that guy was like basically listing off the percentage of foreign-born in Canada. It's like 40% of your population now. Like that's complete demographic collapse. Yeah.
Well, for the audience, I'll clarify what it is. See, we said 44% of Canadians are foreign, and everybody's like, no, I think it's actually 30%. Also horrific, but 1 in every 3 Canadians is fresh off the boat. It's not even. It's like first generation. Like, they just got here. Most of them is like after 2015. But then when you account for their kids as well, that's when you hit 44%. So yeah, it's like literally the meme. Like, that's where is the thing? Hold on a sec. I gotta hide us for a sec. Can I do that? Sorta. Yeah, the world you grew up in no longer exists. How do I hide our screen for a sec? I don't know how to do it. Whatever.
I don't know. We can see it in the background, but
all right, good enough. You guys know what I'm doing.
Wow.
Yeah, it is the case. Because and that's how we got away with stuff like firing Don Cherry for saying you people need to wear the poppy. Because like, nobody here cares. Heck, I'm loving it. Like, from pure entertainment standpoint, the Liberals are gonna call it a leadership race to pick a new prime minister, and they're gonna get trounced. They're just stalling. And then everybody who wants to run has to pay $350,000 into the coffer. I'm pretty sure it's just like a financing run pretending to be a leadership race, but whatever. But this one guy doesn't speak French, doesn't speak English, Pajit Singh or something like that. And he's talking about that he got the Liberal Party, and he goes on, and it's just like, you know, the stereotype where, oh, they always just lie to your face with absolute like, and he's doing all of the stereotypes. It's like literally the most on the nose. Like, I can't write satire about this stuff. I really hope he wins. I really do. I think it'll be the funniest thing ever.
He's gonna get up on the stage and talk about our Canadian values. It's like, fuck off, dude. Just ride.
Yeah, he'll talk about all that stuff, and people in Quebec are mad. And like, good. It's about time you guys got mad. You caused this.
Yeah.
Welfare bums.
Yeah, we're your French traditional monarchist types, in Quebec. Well, I want those guys back.
Dude, they had monarchists in Quebec?
Well, it wasn't that like the whole foundation. They were like anti-French Revolution. people?
Dude, to be honest, I don't know. I know they were anti-Anglo monarchy. And there was like a big group of them, like the Métis were the ones that intermixed with the native populations there, so they got their own little culture. But for the most part, what I remember is they were mostly Catholic run until the Silent Revolution, and that's when they essentially became like super secular, globalist, all that stuff. But they're like weirdly nationalist. But their impression of the French is like their fancy older brother with the big job. Like when they people in Ville de Quebec will have like their most français propre, like their best French, and they'll go into France and they'll order like a thing, and the guy's like, "Oh, you're from Quebec, aren't you?" Almost like, "Oh, fucking pleb." Yeah, they're really insecure about that stuff. Which is, and that's a French thing, because in Canada, I go to Britain and they're like, "Oh, you're from Canada." I'm not like, sorry.
Yeah. I was interested to find a lot of American hate in Europe when I went over there like 2 years ago. I think I told this story before, but a Dutchman tried to stab me when I was in Brussels. That was an interesting moment. I kind of, to be honest, was kind of asking for it, but I just thought it was,
for me. You'd be speaking German.
Well, it wasn't really that. I mean,
it was that, wasn't it? Oh.
No, I dropped a gamer word when I was having a cigarette with one of these Dutch guys, and he went into a spurg out because I said a naughty word against the progressive hegemony of the day. So he took his Heineken bottle, smashed it against the side of this bar, and tried to come at me.
Jesus.
So
it's not like, and they have like charcoal Pete for Christmas. So like,
I know
their national tradition is blackface. Calm down.
Yeah, like a Jack in the chat. I remember texting him like the day after. It's like the day after I left him when I was visiting, and
yeah. Oh, that's why, because you're in Belgium. I thought you were in the Netherlands. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So Dark Knight Dev here too. $5.01 super chat. Don't move to New York. It's going to taxi driver days. Go to South Carolina, dude. South Carolina's on my short list. I've seen about it. It's lovely. Reminds me of like Vancouver Island minus the hippies. Try Vegas with Rolo, but there's nowhere to sail. Yeah, I'm chronically seasick though. That's the other thing. I don't want to go. I don't want to sail if I don't have to.
You just never got over it? Like on the waves?
You just throw up a bunch for the first week, and then after the week, your body kind of adjusts, and then when you get back home, you get land sickness, and you throw up for a day and don't have a shower, otherwise you'll pass out, and then you're good to go.
It's interesting. And I got sea legs pretty early. Growing up in Michigan, so I've never had an issue with the water. I've gone like deep sea fishing before with other guys, and they just like throw up like crazy. Like, this is bugging you? I don't know.
Well, I think it's something to do with that inner ear, the thing that does your balancing. There's something about mine that just doesn't work the same. Maybe it's like you know how some people can taste cilantro and some people taste dish soap. I think it's like one of those things. You either got it or you don't.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that's funny. So I'm guessing, like, nice. I don't know where you're from originally, but I'm going to guess it's probably like a landlocked state.
I mean, Michigan is like.
That's like you're originally from Michigan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh. Because usually, like, when we sailed, it was always the guys who had no seasickness were guys from like Saskatchewan who had never even seen the ocean before. They're like, this is great. It's like Sea State 6, greenies flying over the thing.
Interesting. I mean, the Great Lakes are so big; they pretty much have their own ocean conditions on them.
Not gonna lie, I'm a fan. I didn't think, like, I'm used to BC, the land of 1,000 lakes, but I come here and the giant lake thing, I'm a fan of it. It tempers the winter, tempers the summer. The weather is consistent. Like, I didn't know how consistent weather could be, where it's like hot day, hotter day, hottest day, rain, cold day. And then it's like that all summer. And I'm like, I can live with this. You can, like, set your watch to it.
Yeah, I mean, they're awesome for all manner of water recreation. I mean, one of the things that's really nice about it, that there's nothing dangerous inside the Great Lakes. There's no sharks, there's no alligators, there's no like poisonous fish or
no
sea
salt.
anemones. Yeah, no salt. Yeah, it's just perfect. You couldn't ask for better water conditions.
It's a fucking tray. I don't know what it is, man. You've given me $2 super chats for the last 6 years just to embarrass me by having to read "Couch is seasick" from swimming in 9s and 10s daily. How do you come up with this stuff? Like, just You're as creative as Myron is on like what he can blame the Jews on. I swear to God.
I swear to God, he doesn't even do a good job with it either. You know, as a, as a studier of the tribe, myself, like this fucking guy.
And I get it's just rabble rousing. He doesn't. I don't think he believes or knows any of this stuff. I think somebody's like, "Oh, just blame the guys with the small hats. Show that picture of the cave, and you're good to go." And all right, sounds good.
Oh, yeah.
Like I bet he stresses out when he watches his numbers and he sees dips. Oh, they're losing interest in me yelling at women. Well, I'll just yell at these Jews instead. And
you know, that was such a wise move for me at the very start. I told myself I'm never ever looking at like analytics on a deep level. I'm just gonna do it, and that's it. And
yeah.
That's definitely the way to do it.
You are right. Like, just snapshot every now and again, like day of, week of, definitely broad stuff. I find getting into the nuances. Like they even suggest that. Go into your things, see when attention dips, and then cut that part out. And I was going, dude, if I cut out every part where there was a dip, and for all I know, the dip was because the guy had to, like, his mom called him for dinner, and so we had to pause the video or something. Like, I don't know. But it would make the video completely, like, unintelligible. So I'm like, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah. I mean, you just can't pay attention to the audience because they don't know what they want. They're just consumers.
Yeah. And half the time they don't even want that either. Like I just, we're not shitting on you guys. You guys are great. We're talking about other audiences, not Hawk's audience either, but like the third group. They just, a lot of the guys you just find out they just put it on in the background while they're doing something or whatever. And so it's like as long as you're not shrill, it's fine. Which I used to get mad about that. I'm like, well, why am I putting all this effort in? And then I realized, like, oh, I'm putting the effort in because I'm not a bag of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Or you're putting in the effort for like the 10 guys that actually are paying attention and will get something out of it. I mean, I said this before, like I will continue to promote your stuff because you're one of the good ones that's left in this whole thing. So.
Oh, I thought that was because of my melanin. Oh, no. That's nice. Thanks, man. No, he's honorary.
You're honorary.
Yeah, I've noticed that every now and then somebody will like they'll rant on like red pill is stupid, this, that, or the other thing, and I come in and I give like a little quip. It's like, oh, I've heard about you. You're actually not bad. It's like, oh, thanks.
No.
Thank you, anime profile picture.
Yeah.
Anyways, please continue about the zeitgeist.
But yeah, you're gonna be like the last guy standing. You know, they're gonna find like the sacred texts. You know, after you've left the whole thing, and oh yeah, that Ryan guy, he was real cool.
Which I'm expecting because I mean that's what everybody's done before. Like Glover hasn't done shit in like 15 years. David Clare practically wrote that in 2008, disappeared. There's a lot of this stuff that has a very, very slow burn, and I'm fine with that. Heck, even back to your YouTube analytics thing, my movie channel, the Orion one, like every video got like 1,000 views, which isn't a lot. But then you look at the viewership stats and it's just a slow climb up. And it's exactly the same as my first channel. Like there's videos I did 6 years ago that are still, you know, getting like their 100 views a month or whatever. But now there's 1,000 videos getting 100 views a month. It's like 100,000 views every month and it kind of adds up. And you just realize that, what's that thing? Legacy or whatever?
Yeah. Well, as a Daily Wire correspondent, you know everything about Legacy. So.
Oh yeah. I fucking hate the Daily. It's not that I hate the Daily Wire specifically. It's like Trudeau. I just hate what it stands for. I hate how it's the natural consequence of all your decisions. But let me ask you this. I don't know. Does anybody here in the chat actually watch Daily Wire? Have you ever gone back to watch an old episode of anything?
Oh God, I can't imagine anyone does.
Yeah. I was thinking about everything.
Evergreen? No.
What's the other guy? Zihan? Zihan? Is he the geopolitical guy?
Oh yeah.
Which
he's the guy that predicts every 5 minutes that China is doomed. Which, you know, I mean, he's been saying that like for 20 years. Which I think on like the actual macro, he's correct, but this micro stuff of like every 2 minutes, like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Well, he broke my cardinal rule. Don't talk about something I know about.
Oh.
He started talking about the Canadian Liberal Party of Canada, and his opinion. No. I was like, it wasn't even that it was wrong. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like it's wronger than wrong. He's talking about the things, and like nobody would ever think of it that way. Makes no difference. He's talking about stuff that nobody cares about, doesn't matter. And then I read his chat, and I realize like, oh, everybody likes watching it and saying, "Geez, you're wrong again, Bucko." I was like, oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Although I am glad Jordan Peterson finally found his niche. I'm actually very happy that he's like the new Charlie Rose. Do you remember Charlie Rose?
No. Oh.
He, if you ever, you'll see him online all the time. Whenever you watch YouTube and they're in the black room sitting at a table interviewing like Christopher Hitchens or, some Secretary of State or whatever. And there's that guy with the tie and the suit talking to him. It's a black room wood table. Those are Charlie Rose. It's kind of like an old school Buckley. But he's not Buckley. He's kind of more neoliberal Buckley.
Mm.
And he's a smart guy. He's an interesting guy, but he realizes like, you're not here for me. So he's just smart enough to allow the person he's interviewing. Yeah, it was on PBS. Peak PBS. You'll see if you like, check it out. Just go watch a Charlie Rose interview and then realize that's what Jordan Peterson, that's what he's meant for. Because like standing on his own ideas just isn't cutting it anymore, I don't think.
He's got ideas.
He babbles a lot.
Yeah.
And they sound smart. He's wearing a tie. His suit looks fancy, but it's also like against the grain because he's colorful.
Yeah,
he's got to be smart.
I do have to
Shapiro
give.
speaks well of him.
Oh my God, no! I mean, a lot of people deserve quite a bit of credit for calling that guy out at the very beginning. I mean, famously, Vox Day was on it right from the very beginning on Jordan Peterson bullshit. I know you guys were Chesty, everyone.
Our very first episode of Rule Zero was actually on that. Our very first one. Mm-hmm. Very proud of that.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that that's the thing too. I love because like a lot of your political takes are good too, but it's not like you think, dude, how does he keep nailing it? It's not hard. You just got to put aside what's good for the business and just like look with your eyes, make a snap judgment. As long as you're not stupid, it tends to be a good one. Yeah. And if you're wrong, it's always like on some subtle point. It's never on the main thrust either.
Oh yeah, well that's the other thing too. You always get caught, and this is why I like debates are gay, and just getting in arguments with people is just completely worthless. That point you made right there is like you're correct on like the actual like macro issue, but like that people will just nitpick this one little detail, and it's like your whole argument is now invalidated because it's 3%, not 4%. It's like fuck you.
Oh, there's something I was supposed to read. Somebody gave it to me. Schopenhauer? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Oh, yeah. Schopenhauer.
He had something about ways to win an argument, but it's one of those like very cynical ones where one of the 20 techniques you're supposed to use is like nitpick on some stupid little thing or just speak with confidence over top of the guy. And supposedly like watching it, you understand every argument that ever comes out nowadays. And it seems like it's pretty funny how it came out in like 1876.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm getting into more reading, and I'm finding a lot of the older stuff's interesting me. Like,
did you ever read his essay on women, Schopenhauer?
I have not, but Carl has explained it to me, and it's very funny. So it's on my to-do list. But
yeah,
there's one I got now, and you'll love this. It was a British diplomat, a World War II vet, who his last 3 years of his career he spent as an ambassador to Canada. And on his way out, the Home Office was like, "Send us a non-diplomatic, unfiltered opinion of Canada," in like 1982. Oh my God. And just for like, that was right when Trudeau Senior was just he's in literally the same position Trudeau is in now. And the way he described it, you'd think he was talking about it like last year. I'm like, oh my God. And then I was like, 40 years, nothing has changed. Like, he's like, all of our politicians are milquetoast. The parliament, they talk like idiots. They're baffling. They're cartoonish. Trudeau, he just treats it like he's smarter than everybody else. He has disdain for lower people. The Brits are annoyed with them, and it just everything. And I read through it, and it was just, and it's British too, so everything is like understated. So they're like, oh, he seems nice. Kind of, it's like the way of calling somebody a cunt up here. Like I'll send it to you. It's funny as a read. It's like a diplomatic read if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. I'm just seeing everybody go through like absolute chimp outs right now of all this like Trump talk about, oh, Canada's gonna become the 51st state or something. Has anyone talked about this IRL up there, or is this just a complete internet thing?
Mostly it's just like if I'm talking to a buddy, he's like, dude, did you hear about this? He goes, no, he did what? It's definitely not as like loud and boisterous. Like some people have feelings, but I'm finding it used to be most people would be like, F off. But now it's kind of like, really? I'll hear that.
yeah. It's like, oh, are you making an offer?
Yeah. But I mean, that's of course the chattering classes are going to get like all up in arms about that because they're government sponsored paychecks, they're government grants, they're free money, they're transfer payments, like all that stuff goes away if we were to become a 51st state. So that's why they're mad. They're not, and they're just cloaking themselves in nationalism very cynically. Because they were all about post-national. Canada's not even a country, and then they did their damnedest to make sure. But now they need it. Now they're wrapping themselves in the flag, talking about British values. It's like everything.
I don't know.
Motivated reasoning, I think, is the most kindest way I could put it.
There's this North English.
Sorry. One thing though, that to answer your question, the one thing that did come out of it though is the way Trudeau handled it is riling a lot of people up here. Like that fucking guy. Like everybody kind of knew who did know about it. Knew he's just jabbing at us. He's jabbing at us to get a reaction. And then Trudeau handled it the way, like when you get bullied and you take it seriously and start arguing the point. I don't know if you've ever been in a redneck town where girl starts arguing with you and laughing at you, but it's just like a thinly veiled excuse to want to punch you in the face. And then when you start arguing back, they just hit you. Trudeau's kind of like that guy who get bullied in the redneck town.
There are some schools of thought that say that politics is genetic, and when you look at somebody like Justin Trudeau, you have to wonder. But,
it's gender wars, man. It's grade 6. Like everything that like the Rolo stuff, the top 10,000 foot level Evo Psych men versus women, and then you look at the broad political leanings between what you would call left and right. It's boys versus girls every time, all of it.
Yeah.
Conservative, and for some reason conservative, because of Warhammer or something, gears towards men, and the liberal geared towards women, which it wasn't necessarily supposed to be that way. But I mean, left and right don't even mean anything anymore. It's like
no.
Does anybody even remember why they were sitting on the left and the right during the French Revolution in the first place? Not really. It's just
it was branding. Like the Jacobins and the Girondins. I think that's the history of it. But
what are you, a fucking Whig? Here, I gotta get caught up on the super chats before we get to your point here. You don't mind?
Sure.
Andrew Tate's Romanian passport, unironic vote for Ohio. Yeah, Ohio was on my short list too, and then they started eating all the ducks. So I don't know how common that is. So I got to do some. So it's like it's lower on the list now, but it's still there.
The thing is that for you're still going to want to stay in like a metro area, and the only one in Ohio that's worth a damn is Cleveland. And I lived in Cleveland for several years, so I know a bunch about it. But the downtown area is kind of cool, but you don't want to live down there. It's like one of those spots that's good to visit. But
crime.
It's not really even that. It's just that there's only like one part of the downtown area that's actually cool to go hang out in, and there's no like living areas by it. Like Cleveland's not a place where you have like giant high rises where people live in apartments. It's very much a.
I'm not, and that's the thing. I'm not even super interested in that. Like when I lived in Victoria, BC, that's kind of more. That'd be the equivalent of New England, I guess, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Like a town of. The downtown was 30,000 people. The greater Victoria area was like 330,000. Like that is perfectly fine to me.
The thing that
because if I move down there, I'm buying a place outright with our stupid housing market here.
Yeah.
So I'd basically be retired, like retired.
Yeah. If you're looking for that, then it wouldn't be too bad. The problem with Ohio is their tax law at the state level is just absolutely fucked. It's infuriating.
You don't even know. All right. There's another thing. Everybody's talking about the 51st state stuff. One guy was pointing out how our taxes went up less than American tax. And it is like this really misleading chart. And somebody's like, hey, why didn't you show the whole chart? And it was just so illuminating when you guys keep telling me you don't want to go there. So the worst tax state in America is what? New York or California, probably, right?
Yeah, it kind of depends on what you mean by like worst, because there's some that are really complicated, like Maryland, Ohio, Oregon.
Just strict numbers. A percentage of your paycheck that's going towards taxes, federal and state altogether, which ultimately
that's something like New York or California.
New York or California. And then they would compare all 50 states to all 10 Canadian provinces. And the best taxed state in Canada province is Alberta. And Alberta was like 5% worse than California and New York. So it's like you guys you'll hate this. I'm like, I don't think I will. I really don't think I will. I don't think I can handle like no sales tax, no income tax states at the beginning. That'd be like walking into an orgy and all of a sudden you're like the most popular guy there. Like if you're not ready for that, like don't just ease into it. Shallow end. Let's start with like a 40% tax state, and then we'll get down to 0.
Yeah, then we'll ease in. Yeah.
And then what do we got? Johnny Trejo, 1999. Thank you very much. Good morning, gentlemen. Couch. When you came to the States, stay clear of California or LA County. Well, yeah, I know LA's burning right now. Take care of the underbrush, and Rule Zero's thumbnail today looks like a young Aaron Clary. Oh, I got to go check that one out. I haven't seen the thumbnail yet.
It's Niccolo Machiavelli. It's on the cover.
I mean, I can't, it's a little cliched, but I can't say anything on it because we had, before like all the new guys came there, we had like 7 episodes of Looks Money Games. So it's like, who am I to judge? It's funny though. It's funny.
Yeah.
And then Louis with $9.99. I finished volume 3 this week. Couch. Cannot wait for Dog War. Oh, dude. All right. Sorry. I got to pause. I got to sell some books here.
Yeah.
Hold up a sec, Hawk. I am not bullshitting you. I think this will be my, and now for some good news, Delicious Tacos. Good one. It really is good. I've never had this much time to tweak and make sure it was perfect before going out. Like every detail in there, like from the book alone, the symbols that are used on there, they all drive the point over the themes. The characters are all like variants of the protagonist. So like everything is moving in the same direction. There's no fluff, no filler. Like one of the things I'm really hating about modern books is where a guy will spend an inordinate amount of time of the book describing how great his world building is with like details that just don't matter, but they sound cool. And I'm like, yeah, none of that shit. If there's a detail in there, there's a reason it's in there. And so it doesn't waste your time. And it's at the point that even now, because like it's far enough gone since I was typing it that I don't remember. Like I remember the details, but it's like a book I read before, not one I wrote. Like I'm reading it now and I'm enjoying it. Nick, and it's like the most sincere. I've been using it as marketing, running it in where he goes, he's probably read, because he used to be a university professor for English, talking about writing and stuff like that. He used to work as an editor as well, and he still does now. He's like, I've probably read 1,000 books in my time, more than anybody you've known. And this is actually, for a first book, it has no, he goes actually mad at me. He's like, fuck you, this has no right being this good. And of course, I don't like compliments, so I don't believe it. But I'm still going to push it as this so. But I mean, it kind of is. And I think you guys will enjoy it. It's just fun, and it's pushing onto that new thing. Like, I know, Hawk, I'll leave it to you after this. There's nothing for men. Like, you know, the whole, like, they're not hiring white guys anymore for this. Literature is all about lesbians and chicks and middle-aged chicks right now fighting with their alien cohorts. And there's, like, nothing out there for men. And it's one of those ones that fills that niche. And I think if guys read at all, like, they'll enjoy it. That's kind of why I'm, like, walking a lot of the red pill terminology back, because I don't want to scare away a potentially, like, great audience that would probably love this stuff. But the jargon and Andrew Tate and Myron scare them off. And so, yeah, maybe just talk like a normal person for a bit. You know?
Yeah.
Anyways, pre-orders are out. Links in the description. If you just want to do it yourself, just do ryanstone.com/dogwalker. It'll take you automatically there. That's for the Kindle edition. On the 14th of February, it comes out. Paperback, hardcover. Audio will be a couple months after. And I even redid Fuck Files for a 3rd edition as like a, hey, it's coming out, let's put them both together. That'll be out on the 30th. So if you liked it or if you hadn't got it yet, I actually added the redacted 13th top secret chapter.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, complete updated, hardcover, paperback. Everything there is all done and fixed up. So it's gonna be a great 30 days. If you're an avid reader, you're gonna love Fuck Files. You're gonna love The Dog Walker, and Praxeology Volume 4 will be out in the summer. It's gonna be like 3 but more, and then beyond that, I don't know. I have nothing else red pill to talk about, so I think we'll have to rant about politics and the goddamn Democrats. Anyways, that's your lead.
I loved Fuck Files. I remember I read it on a flight to Vegas. It's like on a 5-hour flight. I just cranked it out.
You one-shotted it. Okay, yeah, dude. I'm glad you liked it. Far and away better. It's like the difference between walking versus flying. Like that's the difference I'm talking about here. Like you definitely will like it, and it's entertaining. Oh, fuck! I gotta get some more super chats here. Nonstop Dre, isn't it illegal to be or sound angry? No, it's Britain. Here, it's illegal to say anything bad about government, but it's not illegal. They just take away your bank account. Couch is so smart he makes Socrates sound dumb. I don't even know what to say about this
It's like
one.
a line from The Princess Bride. It's like
gonna say-
Plato, Aristotle,
And
Socrates, morons.
Fucking idiot from the 21 convention. Now, every time I hear Socrates, I think of his stupid ass and not this, like the guy.
How are these fuckers like still around? You know,
Oh.
just like you know that meme where it has the guy who's sitting in the chair and the whole hose water is just like flying into his mouth, and there's like one guy at the bottom getting like drips underneath it.
Yeah.
It's like those
they're the
fucking
drips.
guys. They seriously, like, are the drips really even worth it, dudes? You know?
Well, I mean, I don't think they're here for the money. I don't think a lot, because I see how quickly these people like this sell out. They're selling out for like $50 in a collab. I'm like, dude, if you're going to sell out for like Daily Wire, Jordan Peterson money. Sell for that $8 million a year.
Hey man, that's what
Selling
George,
out on the cheap.
George Bruno is going for it right now. His Daily Wire contract is up any day now. Right?
And then
I mean,
Terrence
Matt Walsh
McCoy's
got his
asking,
start. Matt Walsh got his start from bitching in his car. So
really? Oh, that's right. Back when he had no beard and everybody could see he had that weird goofy chin.
yeah.
Interesting. Terrence is asking if you're going to work at H&R Block again this year.
I am. Yeah. I
You
actually-
are?
Yeah,
So I knew you were
actually-
doing accounting. I thought you were doing it solo.
No. Next year I'll be solo.
Oh, that'll be good.
I actually
is-
just walked into my new office yesterday. For the
So
first
is this
time.
like a Deloitte thing where you'd like do the 3 years in the trenches and then after that you branch out, do your own thing?
more or less? Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say that's awesome, but I'm like, it sucks, but it's good long term. It just sucks in the present time. So I'm rooting for you.
Yeah.
And then some good morning from Ross the Skunk for, he broke the rule, you son of a bitch. All right, I gotta find it. StreamYard has them all laid out differently. You called this on yourself, sir.
So the memes, they're very good. This is really, they've taken it.
True Alpha.
Named Ryan Stone.
It says, ask Murphy about the article he wrote, cuckolding his wife. Clear up the cuck article. Clear up the cuck article.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me?
If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline,
I am now concerned for my career.
And I'm still recommending clear up the cuck article.
You know what? Fuck you for bringing this up. Yeah. Fuck you. Heartfelt.
I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
Just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
It is just...
That's great. That's you should.
Fuck you.
Sorry, apologies.
Just keep going, dude. One foot in front of the other. Before you know it, this will all be in the rearview mirror. Fuck you.
Okay, you are right about the effort. I don't know. How else are you going to handle it? How many times do you see, was it a redhead libertarian or like everybody like, oh, they're coming after me on the internet and they're whining and bitching? I'm like, isn't this a much better outlet for all that internet hate you get?
That I'm trying to remember the name of this chick. It's like I don't know. Everyone will know. She Courtney Castadelli, whatever the fuck. One of these like trad influencers who's got.
She the one that always says her boobs are bigger than the other girl?
Yes, yeah. The boobs are bigger than your head. I'm like, just fucking show us them already, bitch.
Oh yeah. Dude, I think I was funny because for a while there, I think she got mad because she starts talking about like political things and making opinions there, and I was like, oh yeah. Just go back to showing off the girls.
Yep.
As soon as she's had an opinion, it was like the stupidest, most progressive opinion ever, and her audience hated her for it.
No fucking shit. Like, here's my breakdown of the Donald Trump interview on Joe Rogan. I think it was really great.
Yeah.
Show me your boobs.
I just the goofy bitches, man. I make the world a better place.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you have those 5-year-olds telling you about space. You're like, I know about space. I was in your position once.
Yeah.
Pretty soon you're gonna start telling me about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Do like your what's that? The Goodwill Hunting thing. Where like, yeah, next year you'll be on dinosaurs. Tell me about Stegosaurus. And do you have anything of your own to say, kid?
At the same time though, like again, this is why I can't stand and why nobody should be able to stand these White Claw Power Hour stuff, because the response from somebody like Myron would be like, name 3 countries, bitch. And it's like, dude, I don't really care if women know like shit about countries, man. Like that's not what they're there for. You know, it's like I'm totally fine with this chick, you know, talking about her boobs and doing like I'm trying to fit in with the cool kids group of talking about politics. It's like, listen, okay, thank you, sweetheart. Yeah. Yep, thank you. I'll hear.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at too. It's like if you want to play the big boy game, then you're going to be playing big boy rules where people are going to be harsh and critical towards you. If you want to play the light bubbly girls on trampolines, do that too, but don't be like bouncing back and forth. Criticism, back to the trampoline. Yeah, the trampoline. I don't want to be known for this. Let me talk about China. Like, come on.
Like it's rapidly coming to the point where like being an OnlyFans girl is better than being a social media influencer. Like,
at least they're honest.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean,
although
like just social media just completely like warps your fucking brain, particularly if you're a woman. I mean, I obviously it like fucks up a majority of dudes too, in many cases, but I mean, I don't think I've ever seen. You know what? There is one woman. I'll give a shout out to Mac. That's it. Like the only one. Yeah, that's it.
Well, I got a few. Mac, obviously. Allie, I know it's a controversial take, but I enjoy Allie.
Yeah, I do too. Actually,
and Kirsten, she's an editor, also a vet. But that's the thing too. I got a soft spot for vets, especially pre-2010 vets, because they were the ones that went through.
She just quote-tweeted me this morning. I've never heard of her before.
Oh yeah. She, I met her through Allie. She was an Air Force vet, military brat. That's probably why too. It's like very tomboyish. Kind of reminds me of my little sisters. Yeah, she's a book editor, and she's pretty good at it. And she's been around the guys enough to like not be a girl on trampoline one. She's like basically your tomboy little sister. It's absolutely great, and she's actually good at what she does, which I think makes a huge difference.
Cool, she could stay.
But you are right. Yeah, the list is very, very small. Like Michaela Peterson, I'm like,
oh my god. She's another person we get to port. See, listen, I'm an equal opportunity deporter. All right, it's not just about the color of your skin. No.
The content of your character.
Exactly. You know.
What was that meme? Actually, no, it's because of the content.
That might be one of my favorite memes of all time. It's MLK with his like hand, with his face in his hand, and the caption reading, "When you realize they were judging you by the content of your character all along."
See, and I shouldn't be as much a fan of shit posting, considering how IRL I am, like how in real life my face is up here and stuff like that. But I love it for its canary in the coal mine effect. I love like when you're willing to offend to nail a joke, like Howling Mutant, guys like that. I love that shit.
He's one of the best follows on the entire.
Yeah, but like he understands it's taboo. But he's or what's another one? That comedian, Stanhope. Another great example for that one too. I think you kind of need guys like that. I think you need to be able to stare into the shadow.
Sam Hyde, Sam Hyde does a lot of that too. I went and saw him his comedy routine a couple weeks ago, just before Christmas, and my god,
is it good?
Oh, it's so fucking funny. Oh my god,
really?
Yeah, it was amazing. They had this well, I can't spoil all of his bits, but it's definitely worth seeing. If anyone has the opportunity to go see Sam Hyde, you absolutely should. Fair warning though, if you're somebody who is not white, be prepared to be made fun of a lot. 2.5-hour comedy sketch, and not a single joke was about white men. It was very refreshing.
Well, that's the one thing I'm wondering is like if I had to compare his comedy to somebody else, would I think like first Netflix special Bill Burr, or would I think like Andrew Dice Clay like stuff? Remember I don't know if you remember like Sam Kinison. Would you compare him to one of those guys, like similar to this, or if you like this, you'd like that?
I don't know. It's how would it? You know what? You know who I would kind of describe him to, in like the edginess of somebody like Dave Chappelle back in like Chappelle Show, in the sense of, but like Chappelle could get away with it because he's black, but Sam Hyde just goes for it. He just doesn't even care. He's like, oh yeah, I'm dropping
because he realized it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter. He's like, yeah, I'm dropping N-bombs throughout my entire bit. What are you gonna do about it?
I think honestly, it's what was his? Was it Cartoons Adult Swim? Was it he was canceled from, or Cartoon Network? I can't remember.
It was Adult Swim. Yeah, they had their show for one season, and they still like the comedy bit was very much in like a spiritual successor to that, because it's like an MTV mixed with like an SNL kind of deal.
Yeah.
But also obviously like very millennial and internet coded. So they had like a couple like comedy sketches very much in that same vein in his
that's what
IRL
I called
show.
It was Alex Winters for millennials, which Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Do you remember?
I'm familiar
Bill?
with it, but I never watched it.
Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, here's some 80s knowledge for you, son. No. Alex Winters, the guy who played opposite Keanu Reeves in Bill and Ted, He was the first guy writing like comedy sketches for MTV when it first came out. So when everybody thinks of like that MTV radical aesthetic, it's actually Alex Winters, the whole thing.
Oh, really?
And probably one of the best movies that nobody knows about, I'm going to do it one of these days on my Orion channel, is Freaks. It's like an all-star cast. Alec Winters made it. It's just like it sounds like if you like Sam Hyde, you would like his. It's not as edgy. It doesn't make us fun of people, but it's got that psychotic energy to it that I think you'd absolutely love.
All right,
Anyways, where are we going with this one? Oh, the Sam Hyde one. Yeah, there was two guys that I was curious about, him and Dankula. Because I know Dankula does his little tours and comedy stuff too. And I wasn't sure if it was like, I was worried about the both of them. Are these actual like comedy tours? Like if I didn't know who Sam Hyde was, or if I didn't know who Dankula was, would I enjoy them as a comedy tour? Or is it kind of one of those, I'll just preach to the audience and they like me because they hate the damn liberals?
I think it's like a little bit of both. In Sam Hyde's case, I don't know much about Dank, but obviously aside from his fucking hilarious joke from way back when, but like it definitely helps in Sam Hyde's case if you understand, because a lot of like the bits in his joke, like he's kind of making fun of a lot of like right-wing Twitter in a lot of his things. You know, it's like he goes up and he makes a joke about Orthodox Christians. Like right away, he's like, "Are there any orthos in here who are gonna tell me I have to fucking convert to Orthodoxy?" You know, it's like the very first thing he says. It's like, I go on Twitter and I mention Christianity. Fucking 10 of you fuckers come out. I figured I'd get it out of the way right now. You know? So, I mean, it helps if you have like some knowledge, but you could definitely enjoy the show itself without having any previous knowledge, because, you know, the jokes. Jokes.
Well, that's the reason I asked, because I remember for a while here, I was like looking at old comedy shows from the 80s. The only one that I noticed now that still stands up was like Richard Pryor, of all people. Live on the Sunset Strip. I find it hilarious, but I like watching old Andrew Dice Clay set. And I'm like, we laughed at this? The fuck is this? It was just him, like, catchphrases, and the fact that he was yelling and cussing and smoking on stage. Everybody's like, this is awesome. Fuck my conservative dad. Sam Kinison, same thing. It's like, it wasn't so much funny as it was just like, I don't know what kind of pent-up frustrations people had back then, but it was like very cathartic, I assume. And Yakov Smirnoff, I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, the Cold War is the thing. So yeah, you know, that's basically his whole shtick, right?
And I just realized, like, all these comedians everybody talked about were so great. I didn't like them at all. I remember back when I was a kid, I thought they were hilarious. But I think as a kid, just somebody starts yelling and screaming, you're going to cheerlead that.
Yeah, I mean, I have the controversial take that if George Carlin was alive today, he'd probably be the biggest shitlib in the entire world.
Well, I mean, he kind of is now. Even now, just looking back at his old stuff before, yeah, he kind of is. You know what sucks? White people. Or that the counter memes where they keep just taking his bits like word for word and just putting them in there, and you're like, oh, that sounds really bad when you take it out of context.
Yeah.
I'm worried about Christopher Hitchens though. That's what I was thinking. I used to love his takes and all this stuff, and then I'm kind of going back, and when he and his brother were like Trotskyists, they kind of are communists, and you hear the way they talk about things. It could have gone either way.
Yeah.
Like, would they be the ones that are like cancel culture's gone too far, or would they be the ones cheerleading it at the front? It's almost,
I don't know.
it's almost better he died.
Christopher is clearly better than Peter, but I don't know. I kind of want to give like Christopher Hitchens a little bit more of leeway, because it seems to me he was actually like a much more serious intellectual and actually had some ideas, even though like this new atheism movement has just been completely BTFO'd at this point. I mean, it doesn't work. It's been proven not to work. All the characters that are, you know, the major figureheads in it are just complete like fucking jokes at this point.
Well, it's because they were simps. It's that fucking chick in the elevator. That's what started all of this. Went in there with Dawkins. He's like, hi, it's nice to meet you. She's like, don't grape me. And then she went on a thing, and that was it. Atheist Plus came out, then the Gamergate, then Trump, and it's all started from that fucking chick in the elevator. It's like an obscure meme, but I'll do like the Dominoes one where it's like Richard Dawkins says hi to somebody in an elevator, and then next step up. World War III with Ukraine.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you look at Sam Harris. I've had that moment too where I'm like, I used to love watching like the Four Horsemen stuff, and I'm going, was he always this stupid? Or was it just like Christopher was like carrying his water, and then now that he's there on his own without these like sobering thoughts to come in, he gets to play out his thinly veiled daddy issues on Trump.
Yeah, I think that really is a huge part of it, is either in like the case of a lot of these figures when they were appearing on mainstream television, they had like the media covering for a lot of their like retardedness quite a bit. And I don't know, given long enough time, people will out themselves.
I saw that. They took Chomsky. They took him out with the vaccine crap. I was like, damn it. He was my favorite guy when, like, because I think with you, even with you, like with you and him, you guys see eye to eye on media manipulation. Which I think is hilarious, because it's like, yeah, he's the enemy, but like, yeah, but you guys are kind of both right about this. I just like that whole not so cut and dry friend enemy distinction stuff. I wish there was more of it. I know there's not, but then he just went off the rails with that stuff. Plus his postmodern. Oh, I retweet his little speech about that, how the postmodernists see physicists and they get jealous and they're like, well, they have incomprehensible jargon. We'll make incomprehensible jargon. They have studies. We'll have studies. It's like wearing your dad's suit and pretending you're a businessman. Yeah, and it's just I just wish he would have stopped talking once he hit 97, because it was like it was great standing on its own.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it really just does seem that like after like 40, people just like never change their minds about like anything. And you're just permanently stuck in a previous frame.
Scares the shit out of me, by the way. Because, like, am I going to be like that in 10 years? Am I going to be that guy? Like, oh, just grab your Zen and pick yourself up. Like, I don't ever want to be that guy. It terrifies me that I'll be that guy.
Yeah. I feel very much the same way. And I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, how do you go about preventing that? You know, because it's like, oh, I'm going to... Because it's like you have in the back of your head, it's like, well, I remember how retarded I was at 15, and so like, should I really listen to anything that like this 15-year-old says? It's like, well, I don't know. I guess this like would really help if like you're a parent too, because it's like, at what point do you listen to your kids and maybe they have something to say, or at what point are they just saying like, you know, ridiculous drivel?
Yeah, I mean, it goes so many different ways, because some people, like when they, for some of my friends, it's once they became parents. That was it. That's their frozen. Like we're forever in this year, because then they detach. They're too busy raising their kids to pay attention to what's going on and economic indicators. They're staying in this house forever, so they never have to stay on the economy anymore. But then that's not a guarantee, because I got other friends that are very switched on after they had kids. And, you know, then for me, you can say for me one way or the other what's going on with me, whether I'm crazy or not. But so I'm like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that most people are stupid and that we have different expectations for stupid kids versus stupid adults. Like maybe the boomers were just really stupid at 20, but there was so many of them that they brought this shit through from force of will. Like the Civil Rights Act should have had no business being done when it did for the states, but the fact that it was just too big of a voting block to stop it, I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I'm here for it, man. Like I've got my popcorn out and everything, watching the total collapse of the post 1945 regime in the United States. I mean, it's just breaking apart at the seams. Nobody is buying into any of these fucking bullshit arguments anymore. And
I've noticed that as you're like, yeah, raison d'être or d'être. You got properly pronounce français prop.
Yeah. I mean, you just saw this again, like recently. Like I didn't bother watching this because I don't really give a shit about European politics. But like Elon Musk did this interview with like this lesbian woman who's in charge of like the far right Nazi party in Germany now, apparently. So
no way.
Yeah. She's a lesbian that married.
Setup.
She's a lesbian that married an Indian woman, which is even worse. It's like how is this even real?
How do you do satire anymore?
I don't know. You don't. You just look at modern politics. It's satire enough. But yeah, he's like interviewing this woman, and I saw the clip going around where like the leader of like the far right party in Germany, like both of them are trying to accuse the other side in German politics of the ones that were closest to Hitler. And it's like, really, this man has been dead for over 80 years. Everyone who was part of his party were hung in the streets. This country is a complete hollowed out form of its former self, like basically has no identity anymore, was completely nuked from orbit, and we're still talking about this fucking guy. It's like, just
the boogeyman.
Like who fucking cares? Literally, who fucking cares?
It's Friday the 13th. Every year at Camp Crystal Lake, they're like, no, it's fine. And then as soon as you have sex, he stabs you in the head with a machete. Every year.
Yeah.
We're on Nightmare on Elm, or like Friday the 13th, part 10. Austrian painter goes to New York.
Yeah.
Austrian painter goes back in time.
Yeah.
It's one where he gets put into the 80s and he has to survive with like punks. But I just, dude. Oh my God, it's George Bruno. He wants the free, dude, enjoy it. I think this is great. I would love it. And this is like a sincere, heartfelt hope for Mr. Bruno. Could you please go on like another video rant dropping F slurs at me? I would love it. I got another book coming out. I need to do an ad for it. A Manosphere Mornings is coming back. I just got to edit the stuff here. And I haven't had anybody yelling at me in forever. I think this is great. In fact, if you could bring Pat Stedman with you, that'd be even better.
Do it from a speeding vehicle on the highway, preferably. No.
Oh. Well, I mean, what can I do to him that his ex-wife and kids haven't done to him worse? He's been beaten down enough. At this point, I just need the footage. So I'm fine with that.
Have you
look
seen
at this.
Oh, damn.
It's good to see you, sir.
Listen, if anybody on like all of internet, it's like this guy and that not gay Jared dude who previously worked for Crowder. Like regular stocks have shot up like fucking like GameStop basically since not being around Tim Pool. Good for you, man.
Yeah, good for you, dude. I just finding out about his whole backstory stuff there was just, that's why I put him on par. That's why I like Sam Hyde. That's why I like Dankula. Obviously, I'm biased because I had my own like zeroing out event, but guys who get like completely crushed by the system and then come back better. I think it's a wonderful story. I wish we had more guys like this. Unfortunately, there's only like Flawed, Adam, Sam, all these guys. Like there's like a half a dozen of them. And that's it. Rollo keeps brought up the flagpole. Yeah. I wish there was more of these guys. I have a feeling that as soon as an opportunity presents itself and the right place, right time, I think these are going to be the next. I can't compare it to Daily Wire, but you know what I mean? Like the next big names are like, where did this guy come from out of nowhere? It's like, yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are looking for more. Well, at least there's a larger faction than there was previously of people who are looking for authenticity as opposed to, just like, I don't really care about your high production values if you guys are a bunch of fake. I'm just going to say an F slur. But
well, I can say sincerity as opposed to authenticity because
I guess that's a good point. That's because
like I always say Tom Cruise is an authentic super spy in Mission Impossible, but it's just sincere because like you're getting what you get. He's not saying things to pander to you. He's not saying it because he knows it does good in the algorithm. He's saying it because either he believes it or at the very least, and like in Sam Hyde's example, he's making a character who believes it. Like it's consistent. I don't know. Just sincerity. I just found was a better word, but I hate being pedantic about it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I've known at least like 8 or 9 people who have gone on Tim Pool's show at this point from multiple different ends of the spectrum, whether political people or cultural people or whatever, and all of them have said the same thing. It fucking sucks. Every single one of them. And like it's like when you have multiple people from several different angles all coming to the same conclusion, there's bound to be some truth there.
Which sucks too, because like I talk with Phil every now and again, and he seems like a wonderful guy, and he seems to enjoy it too. So I'm kind of like, but I guess that's with everything. Nothing is ever going to be 100% this is horrible or 100% this is great. But you are right. The trends are kind of moving in one direction. A majority of people found it's like it's not worth it. Plus the fact that I found out collabs don't build shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying this is like a negative or anything. That's why I'm like, if I'm doing it, it's because I want to enjoy the person. Like going on Adam's show never boosted me at all, which is fine. I was there because I like talking to him. Flawed, same thing. Never boosted me, never boosted him. Chrissy Mayer, none of us got a boost from it. So it's kind of freeing in a way. Like all this like collabs build clout. It's like, no, just go if you want to talk to somebody. Go if you find them interesting.
It seems like old advice kind of. I mean, maybe this was a thing back like 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago on YouTube when there was like a smaller piece of the pie that everyone was looking for. But now, I mean, it's like I mentioned this a bunch on Twitter. People really just have to understand how small and like niche your actual opinions are. It's like take a look at lefty Twitter and you see like one person tweet something about how we need to have like tampons in the boys' bathroom, and it's got like millions upon millions of views and likes. It's like, holy fuck! Like how are these people out there? And then you have like a guy who is getting into fights and completely destroying his life over his like 3,000 follower Twitter account. It's like, fucking relax, dude. Nobody knows who you are, man.
If you really want to know how niche you are, go on to like any football niche, and you're gonna find how small our world really is. As soon as you see some running back from North Carolina, and they're like, "Oh my god, like that, how much buzz he gets over like nothing," and you're like, "Dude, I would sell my family into slavery to get a tenth of what he's getting on that clout."
Dude, like I'm just like blown away sometimes on the definitely on the political stuff, because obviously it's where I over index in, but like there occasionally I will find guys who have something like 20 to 30,000 like followers, and I see just like one of their takes. I'm like, how the fuck is this even possible? How are you not buying your followers? It's like I saw this one guy yesterday who was under like an Elon Musk post, because everyone was dunking on him. Yeah, everyone was dunking on Elon because again, back to like the mustache man thing. You know, it's like he was a communist. It's like, just like literally fuck off. Have you?
Were
read,
they having
like,
that fight again?
It's like, have you
National Socialism?
Yeah, it's like, have you read the fucking book? Like literally, has anyone actually read his book? Nobody has, but whatever. And you have all these like normie conservative people who are just dying on their hands and knees with both hands, tongue out, just sucking off Israel. And it's like, how the fuck do you have these opinions? Just how? Who's listening to this shit? It's
well, I know a lot of it's bought. I've actually learned a lot about the system. Like, it used to be different, but now it's actually YouTube figured out, well, if people are just paying for this stuff anyway, let's give them an avenue to pay for it legally. That's the impression thing. It's like a viable strategy now. You just they call it a YouTube advertising campaign, and Spiffy Brit was talking about how it was gameable. It used to be you didn't even have to do your videos. You could do any video and pay for a campaign. So you
really?
And what the purpose of it was is if you're in a highly competitive niche, they'll rank you against, if you're doing RimWorld videos and somebody else is doing RimWorld videos, you guys are in direct competition for YouTube's preference in the algorithm. So you find one of their videos that does bad and you run a campaign for it, which will temporarily boost their numbers. But then once it goes back to its regular numbers, just drops off a cliff. And so YouTube will see that and go, well, this channel is actually really bad. It got really shitty all of a sudden. So let's deprioritize it and prioritize this other guy, which is pretty nefarious. But so then they fix that. But now what it is just you pick one of your videos and you can run a campaign, and it will just put you into the feed. We'll put you in the thumbnail feed, and X amount of dollars for X amount of impressions, which I think is almost better. It's like a pay to win game, like Farmville or whatever. Because if your video is good, if you pay for extra impressions, it'll just expose you to a bigger audience faster. And then if it catches the right one, it'll take off. Like, that's why my one video on Orion with I Come in Peace, it's like 30,000 views. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I put like $500 into it just on the campaign to see how this thing works. And it gets like 5,000 views. So it's really like, you don't pay to have good views unless you pay large money, which is why Pearl gets so many views at the start. But if it catches the audience, then it'll take off on its own organically. But yeah, that's the problem, is that you'll see things like Pearl. Pearl was absolutely astroturfed at first. Her rich dad put like tens of thousands of dollars into impressions and views. And you're like, how did this mid-centaur bitch get this big? And then once you got big enough, it's just, well, now it's just in front of people. They'll watch whatever slop you throw in front of them.
This is what I mean about like social media just completely nuking your brain. It's like she could have been a totally fine mid housewife, took her kids to volleyball practice, but now
she had to hate her dad and me too her coach and date what do they call it, cold date, or dating a black guy and then yelling at black women, and then they had to go and talk about the Austrian painter on Piers Morgan. And fuck you, Dad. Now it's a career. Man. Aw, it's one of yours. $5.01.
He's one of my guys. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Is the H silent? Like, is it supposed to be son of Uster or Haster?
No, I do not believe the H is silent. No.
Okay.
He's a good dude. We went and hiked the mountain this summer. He's a cool dude.
You and Clary with your goddamn hiking.
Hey, man. No, the North America is the most beautiful landscape on the entire planet. How can you not take advantage of it?
Yeah, fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice though. So the 07 salute, that's nice.
Oh yeah. It's like our calling card. Everyone in the chat does it. They send salutes all the time with their super chats.
Yeah. Anyways, it sucks too, because like, if you want to talk about and the impressions and stuff like this too, it's hard not to sound like you're bitter and just saying, oh, everybody bigger than me is buying views and everybody shittier than me just needs to get good. I'm at the right level of underappreciated genius, but it's not that. It really is a business model. Absolutely. Like, and a lot of it is just like volume. That's why the AI guys are kind of showing you that too, or why people are just clipping the shit out of their podcasts. Because as long as you get enough videos out there, I don't know how it affects the algorithm, but the impression that people have about the algorithm is the more often you upload, the more often it'll recommend you. What I think it is just a lottery. If one of them manages to get that lucky part of the algorithm where people are just bored at the right time, then it'll take off and you're just playing the numbers game, which, again, when was the last time you rewatched a Daily Wire episode, right?
Yeah, really. I mean, it really just is like so many things. We really are approaching the regression to the mean. You know, it's like this idea of a lot of these like tech bros, you know, and again, this is like where my inner Luddite is coming out. It's like, well, isn't it great that every day there are 10,000 more people hooked up to the internet? It's like, nope, that fucking sucks. Yeah, it's a horrible idea.
I remember GopherNet. I was like a child, but I remember GopherNet, and when you had to dial into like a BBS. I don't even know if you know what the fuck I'm talking about. No. Oh, anybody who's like 50 in the chat will know exactly. So there wasn't an internet. You would just dial into a company, like you calling their helpline, but it was their internet. Nintendo had one. If you needed some help on something, you'd call up the Nintendo number and you hear the modem sounds, you collect on it, and you'd be on Nintendo internet. And it was like an ASCII browser. So it was like command line interface stuff. And so you have to get the number of the place. And then Gopher came out once they did like the proper internet. You had to have a teacher as a friend, like one of your friends had to have a teacher parent. Then you'd use their account to connect. And then you can connect to the whole internet, but you connect it through Gopher. I think there's still 13 Gopher sites on the internet now. Like they literally have like a list of everything on the internet. That's how bad it was. And you can go on there and see what the internet was like in like 1996.
Oh, there's a fake me in the chat.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
When does Ryan pivot to politics guy?
Yeah, that's a fake me. God, fucking hate these people.
Yeah, who do you think's driving that charge? This guy is the one who's like, dude, you should talk about Trudeau for like ever. Son of a bitch. Can't we just talk about our dicks for 2 hours? That'd be great. Make fun of, hey, George, take a drink.
Here, I'm typing in the chat real quick.
It's fine. I think you have a wrench. Oh, no, you don't.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll wrench you. See, the one thing that would have been nice is if I had a producer, because then they could be like, put on an ad while I do some like, or they could just do all this stuff and I don't even have to worry about it. Actually, here, I haven't done one in a while. Let's put an ad in there. Oh, I know which one I want. I know exactly which one I want. All right, take a drink, you goofy bearded bastard. Where'd it go? There she is.
Ryan Stone, another
It is just.
Oh my God.
If you're a young man, you need to figure out what you're trying to do with your life, you need to subscribe to this goddamn channel.
What the fuck?
Megan Fox with a dick, or Hulk Hogan with a pussy.
Mel time. It's Mel time.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me?
You see that Waffle House there? There's murderers in there.
You have to conclude that Trump betrayed us.
socially retarded fact.
Feeding.
Don't work with retard.
He's a halfway decent looking guy, a nice smile, can be a gentleman, snarky as even in person, yet he blocks me and talks shit about. Somebody find out their fucking real names for me.
I made it, and I still love that every time I watch it.
Immediately when it came up, I just broke into audible laughter. Thank God it was muted.
How do you not love this job? You love it and hate it. You gotta laugh. All right, there you go, sir. Enjoy whatever. It wasn't Glenn Lawrence a good producer? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know much of the details about that stuff with him and Rollo and all that. I just know the little bits I did heard and how in the back of my head, friend enemy distinction. Rollo and I have been through hellfire and back, so yeah, I'm always on Team Rollo.
Yeah, there you go.
One thing that sucks, like you're never gonna until you get canceled, you're never gonna be truly part of the team.
I don't know. I feel like that I'm worrying about that is just less and less by the day. You know, it's just Elon's got a couple of problems with him. Hopefully he could be shifted on those opinions, but I will be eternally grateful for him for buying Twitter, because he basically just destroyed the entire censorship regime by himself. It's just like the incentives of all the other companies now are basically like, well, we're going to lose traffic and everyone's just going to go to Twitter unless we stop censoring people. And it's really like not a problem anymore. It's like YouTube doesn't really ban people's channels. I mean, they still demonetize you, which like blows, but it's not as bad as just completely nuking your thing.
I have way more problems with the DMCA system than with any censorship stuff. But Meta, they took out the tampons in the guys' bathrooms. The age of man is back.
Yeah.
Somebody brought up a point of like, it was some communist country like not Botswana. Anyway, something like Bay of Pigs shit time. And all the socialists were like, there's no way the Americans are going to come here and liberate this. But then as soon as they came in and took over, everybody's like, oh, thank God we don't have to believe in this dumb shit anymore. And it was like that reversion to natural human stuff it's just all it needs is permission. I think is really what it is.
Yeah.
Which is why I also have hope for Canada, even though I'm checked out, but I got hope. All it takes is somebody to be like, all right, enough of this bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, there's James Kirkpatrick had a tweet about this, and I very much agree with it. He kind of makes this point of TLDR is basically the nature of a true right wing in politics, because so much of our problems just come down to sheer will. It really just requires us to win once, which is the opposite of the left, because they need a bunch of wins over a long period to slowly move the Overton window in their direction. But really, it only requires one Caesar, one Mussolini, one Franco, one Pinochet. That's it. You just need the right guy to finally be like, okay, let's go. So there's
which
definitely
worries
hope
me
in
too.
that regard.
I'm a big fan of the anti-fragility thing, because the one guy, like everybody's thinking it here, it's one guy that kind of screwed everything up. It's not one guy. Trudeau was one guy, but he had 150 sycophants nipping at the heels because they got paid from it, and then like 10,000 bureaucrats willing to follow through on this stuff and not push back at all. 100,000 cops doing the same thing. That's kind of like my cynicism when the new guy takes over, tries to pull a Margaret Thatcher, and then realizing like the entire bureaucracy is going to drag their feet on it unless he has the will to like just fire everybody. And I don't think he will. I don't think he's capable of it. I don't think he's got the stomach for it.
No.
Like he's never been, at least with Trump, like he's mostly been media his whole life. He hasn't been politics, so he hasn't been in that bubble. And he's used to being canceled. He's used to people calling him an asshole, and he's used to like using it for ratings. So I think he can brush this stuff off way better. I think a lot of new millennials, like I'm assuming Vance is probably pretty good at the game too. Just because he's been online enough.
Yeah, he's extremely good at dealing with journos. He's very, very good at it. It's probably his best quality.
Yeah, because I'm assuming somewhere there's probably a video out there of him dropping an N-bomb. And he's like, all right, fuck it, whatever. There's enough people that have done that now. We're over it.
There is. They tried to knock him for it during the election cycle. It didn't take.
It's like at this point, how's the economy looking? All right, you get 3 N-bombs, go.
Yeah.
But our guy, like he was the Doogie Howser of politics. He joined Harper's government when he was like 17.
Really?
And that's all he's done his whole life is this. So part of me is like, I don't know. I just don't know if he's got enough internet savvy in him to understand the new media landscape.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tackle this from like a conservative thing, like, oh, he's never worked a real job before. It's like, I literally don't care as long as he does like what needs to be done. And that's what.
Oh yeah. We gave up that moral high ground when we put the ski instructor in, the drama teacher, not even a real good drama teacher. 'Cause he left school halfway through the semester and had a bunch of people sign an NDA, and I'll just leave that there.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like, dude, this guy literally allegedly NDA, whatever, diddled students as a teacher and groped a reporter at a skiing event.
Physiognomy never lies.
Yeah. And he's like, literally, everybody's like, oh, the frat boys are out. Like, he's literally that guy. And he just blew right through all of it. So it's like, fuck do I care? You can do
That's what I mean.
anything
Like
now,
all
clearly.
it just comes down to is just will. Like they literally can do nothing to you. Like there's going to be nonstop media coverage every step of the way if they actually start doing these mass deportations, which is like the only reason why Trump was elected is to deal with like the fucking immigration thing. There's going to be
It's the only reason any of these
Consuelas.
people are being elected.
Yeah. There's going to be Consuelas on every single TV station saying, "Oh my God, they're deporting me. No, I worked so hard." Like fuck you. You're breaking
what
laws.
was that example from
Eat
the
it.
90s of that? Was it Gonzalez? The one where they had the SWAT team holding the kid?
Oh yeah.
It was Clinton's thing. Somebody help me out here. I don't remember the name of the kid from it. Who here is their 50s?
Well, you know what's so crazy is obviously Die Hard is such an amazing Christmas movie. You have to watch it every year. But they make a joke in that movie. The reporter goes in to try and get in and break into the house to interview the kids, and the fucking Mexican babysitter, and he's like, "You let me in or I call INS." It's like, this has been a problem in the United States for fucking 50 years, and nobody's done anything about it.
Well, that's why I told you about that British diplomat thing, and I'll send you. It's the same thing. He's talking about 1982. And it's exactly the same as what we have now. And then you realize, like, oh, dude, if he only knew. Oh, here, I got to pause. This one's a big one. Todd M., $49.99 super chat. By the way, you get to pick an ad of your choice, and I will play it for you, Todd. Got to give you flowers, Professor Stone. It's Professor Couch, thank you very much. Esquire. I'm in my mid-20s, and you helped me save myself from God knows how many years of long househood. My editor would fucking kill me for that word. In the future, given the path I was on, so much gratitude for your dedication. Dude, don't even worry about it. That super chat, we're square. 100%. I'm just glad it worked for you. Because that's, with all of this stuff, it's not about me putting out better content. It's really about you guys applying stuff to yourself. Because a lot of this could be wrong. You have no idea. You have to try it for yourself. And most people don't try. The fact that you tried... 100%.
Well, like I love how, again, back to how debates are gay. There is like you'll constantly get into fights, particularly in my side of things, because the trads and the natalists and are really obsessed about like saving our civilization, having kids, and having the traditional family lifestyle, and the red pill's bad and degenerate, and it's just like there is no room for debates or arguments here. It's like I grew up in the traditional conservative household, and you guys failed. Like that, everything you told me about how relationships and how men and women work is just a complete like fucking failure.
Oh, yeah, the whole thing.
Maybe it applied at some other point in history a long time ago, but today it just doesn't. So there's no room for argument. All right, like your work has helped me. Your work has made my relationships better. That's just
don't fluff me on my own cast. That's so God damn it. You know I don't like compliments. Why an asshole? What do you want? No, thank you.
Where's the sniper?
Yeah. I gotta learn to just say thank you and move on. Don't be a fucking spurg. Thank you. That was very sweet. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but there's just like no room for arguing. It's like no, this has worked for me. Maybe it won't work for you. That's not my like responsibility to figure out. But like you can't like guilt me or shame me out of like my positions when it's brought me like nothing but success. So
yeah.
And of course there's like been speed bumps and bumps along the way and stuff. I recently
that's life, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I recently went through the thing where it's like, oh, I kind of like don't know how to have a relationship at this point because I've played the field for several years and like had to work through that. No, but okay. It's something I had to figure out myself. And it wasn't like some tradcon that was helping me do that.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Once you kind of get a system, like a personal system in place, you may not know all the answers, but you know how to go find the answers. And I think that's ultimately, and I'd say outside of just sexual relationship rule zero stuff, I think that's what I like about the praxeology of the red pill, is that it doesn't tell you what to think. It teaches you how to think. And if I get confused about marketing, I just do the same thing that I would do with the red pill stuff. If I get confused about how politics are going, I just look at it the same way as the red pill stuff. If I get confused about socially, like just talking with friends and family, whatever, and you just find the system is great, it allows you to at least figure it out well enough. And all you have to do is just focus on like your own self-interest.
Well, like the thing for me is like in a weird way, I kind of found myself back at the same position I started, in the sense of, oh, I'm going to do the great conservative, like real man thing of have a wife and kids. And I've come around to like all the way back around to the same position, but from a different like direction, in the sense of, a real man does this. It's like, no, I am a real man, but I want this.
Yeah. But you realize I think it's one of those, I don't want to say growing up because that always makes it sound, I don't like the tone of that, which is a weird way to put it. But yeah, where it's doing your life on your terms. And yeah, if you may end up at the same place as you were when you started, but you're there for different reasons. You're there with a better skill set, and it just works better when it's on your own terms. Because if it wasn't on your own terms, it would just be a fantasy. The traditional conservative wife and family. And how do you think you get longhoused? Well, my wife is part of my identity, so I need to keep her around no matter what. And then she starts pulling some whammon shit. What are you going to do? You're going to fucking supplicate to that.
Very true.
And then you end up getting crowdered.
Then your
producer has to leave and go make his own career, and then you look like an asshole. Then they fire you. Then your wife doesn't even pick up the dog shit. You know, after all that, he still had to clean up his own dog shit. I tell you, man, what's the point of fame if you can't even...
This is back to like the longhouse thing. I mean, I know that there's a lot of question marks around BAP, and I know a lot of people don't like him, and he's got some shady takes on a couple things, but I will forever promote this man because he is 100% right on the things that matter most.
I want you to expound on this. Like, I don't know any of these arguments and stuff. Like, are they actually genuine arguments, or is it just like look for an attack vector? Like, what are they?
It's kind of both. I mean, like, obviously anyone who has like a big following, people want to jump on him and attack him, you know, for mostly like bullshit reasons. I mean, like, BAP is one of the chosen people, most likely.
Those end fights are always the funniest one.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, this is a data point. Take it for what it's worth, and watch carefully. And also, I don't necessarily agree with like his day-to-day like politics stuff, because I think some of his takes are a little bit wrong. But I think on his whole like. A lot of his points about history are 100% correct. His points on how politics is the dominion of men is 100% correct. His points about the longhouse, and this term is like kind of gotten memed to just mean feminism, but it encompasses more than that. It's not just the rule of women; it's also the rule of olds, which is really important in our context, especially with like the COVID regime, because it's like the people that locked down the world were the boomers. They weren't like the young people, who had their youth stolen from them.
Dude, did you guys have this in the States too? Like here, all the old people were like clamoring for lockdowns, but then they were the ones that broke every lockdown rule. They just didn't give a fuck. Was that there too? Or it was kind of like, you guys stay locked down so we can go sailing?
I don't know. I kind of had like a double mix this. I mean, I was telling this story not too recently, but when I was up north for Christmas, some of my family members were still in masks. It's like, for fuck's sake. Like, I hate everything. But I don't know. It was like kind of a mix, because there were definitely some boomers who were like yelling at people to get the jab and everything, but they were also the ones like taking like road trips and going to lake houses. But then there were also some that were just like became total shut-ins who just never left their house and just filled their brains with CNN. So,
yeah, it's damn ridiculous. That was the worst part here in Toronto. Like a lot of the work friends and acquaintances and neighbors and that, they were treating it like a new novelty thing. Like, oh, we're gonna have a dinner party. Everybody bring your COVID tests, and then after we leave, we'll get a COVID test, and we'll get another test. And they just kept testing and testing. The government gave like $500 million for these guys to make COVID tests, and they were handing them out at our corner stores for free. Turns out none of them really worked. They would detect such chronically low levels, and they were so inaccurate as a test. Like if you caught anything, it was COVID on the thing. A cold was COVID. The flu was COVID. And I'm not even guessing at this, because not Stats Canada, our medical government, we're actually really good at compiling data. If you can figure out of all the things Canada can do, data and stats. But they were noticing during the COVID 2-year COVID area there, flu deaths, 0. No SARS deaths, nothing. COVID was like, they came in like the Harlem Globetrotters. They sniped all the best talent for the all-star team. COVID took everything. And that's why COVID looks so bad here. Because it was like, technically, everybody who dies now dies of COVID. It's like euthanasia now. Everybody who's dead is probably a euthanasia victim. Actually, it's only 5%.
I want to rewatch Futurama because I liked that cartoon for forever. And
the suicide booths.
Yeah, I know. I want to watch the show and see if there's like some quiet like reactionary elements to it, because they did get a lot of things right, and I don't know if it's just like a broken clock is right twice a day, or if there actually is something deeper here. Because I remember really liking that show compared to some of the other cartoons. I always felt like Family Guy is like for like 80 IQ people,
I would probably say not, because Matt Groening is he's like a Gen X type, but he's definitely very liberal coded. It was more so just about like just taking a shit on everything. Like the whole point of The Simpsons was he thought the Cosby Show and all those sitcoms were too wholesome. And so the whole point of The Simpsons was to take a shit on that stuff, make it satirical, make fun of it, rip it apart. The wholesome 1950s Americana thing. That was a big thing in the 80s. Like when you read stuff like comics, Komix, I think he spelt it. Or do you know that meme where the guy's like, I hate that piece of shit. And the guy's just like a regular guy walking and it's like a comic. Yeah, there's like the whole thing there. Like Seattle's comic industry had a lot of low-key stuff like that. It was all very deconstructive. So he's one of those deconstructive guys. So I don't think you're going to find reactionary stuff from Futurama. I just think when you have that freedom from science fiction, because science fiction is really just a setting, you're able to talk about the problems of today with the level of abstraction of the future, so you can get away with it. Soylent Green is made out of people was overpopulation. What's the other one? Kingdom of Men is about the fertility crisis, but they just shroud it in future stuff and laser guns, and then you don't notice.
Bang.
So I think it was more accidental on their part, or just taking things to their logical conclusions and then adding 20% to it.
Yeah. I guess I really fucking hate this term horseshoe theory that people like to throw all the time. It's one of these things that like centrist or like classical liberal types like to say, like, well, I'm one of the good people because I'm not the far right and I'm not the far left. I'm in that butter zone. I'm in the perfect middle, right? Just like, fuck off, doesn't mean anything. But I use the term like reactionary, not in the sense of just like right wing. This is actually something that Evola talks about. I know he's your favorite, but his like whole
his
framing,
fan base. It's like Star Wars.
Yeah. Like one of his whole frames is like tradition versus anti-tradition, and he kind of lumps in capitalism and communism both in the anti-tradition camp because they both view man as an economic unit, and that's like his whole root of why he has issues with both of them and why he was, a big fan of the fascists. Well, I should rephrase. When they tried him after the war was over, he proclaimed that you can't try me in this court. I'm a super fascist. And
he really did the sovereign citizen defense.
Yeah, it worked for him though. it totally worked for him. They did not put him on trial, and he lived out the rest of his days afterwards. But there's something kind of badass about that, where he just walks in, he's like, these people are fucking soft. That Mussolini guy, he was a bitch.
That's funny. He sounds like he went all King Charles II, I think it was. I don't know if you know that case, or the British Civil War. King Charles had like a civil war, and then it was a big fight between the monarchy and Parliament. And the Parliament brought him on trial, and his only defense was like, they just like, give us a plea. And he goes, I'm here by divine right. Like, what right do you guys have to charge me of anything? Like, what's your authority in this one? And that was his only case. They eventually executed him. And that's why the monarchy in Britain is mostly, what's the word for it?
Gay.
No, figureheads. Why it's mostly figurehead and not direct power was largely in that case.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a concept. Like, every old person in Canada was taught this, where it's ruling with the consent of the governed, or governing with the consent of the governed. The idea is like, yeah, you're the king, but you're the king at our behest. Which, I mean, I don't know how you want to say that ended up, but that's where it is.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of monarchy quite a bit. I mean, it'll never work in the American context because that's just not our history. But
well, you guys got the idea anyway.
Well, kind of, but not really. It's
I would say celebrity. Like, and the president, limited powers, sure, that stuff. But I'd say it's mostly celebrity, figureheads. Yeah, Thailand is probably the best case I've seen, though, where he kind of stays out of it, but he's there mostly. So, like, the left and the right in Thailand, or whatever their factions are, they always infight, but there's that higher commonality between all of them. I think that function is good.
I kind of like just having one central figure, center of authority who's in charge. Because whether things are going good, you know where it's going. When things are going bad, you know like where to point the pitchforks to. I mean, it's like the Biden situation. Like all of us know. Well, yeah. I mean, all of us know Biden is not in charge of the United States, but who is in charge of the United States? Well, it could be any thousands of people. You know, like
nobody's in charge.
Well, yeah, that's like the truly dark, thought, right?
It's not even dark. You execute any person in. Don't do this. I'm saying it's hypothetical. Execute any person at any level of government. Nothing changes. Nothing. So nobody's in charge. I think that's the distributed risk where nobody's accountable to anything. I think that's ultimately the problem, if I'm reading it right. And hopefully we agree on that much.
Yeah. I mean, BAP talks about this in Bronze Age Mindset is one of the biggest problems of our age is that there's just no accountability for our elites. It's like, Mark Zuckerberg can go on Joe Rogan's experience and do a 3-hour interview, and now everyone loves him again. It's like, dude, are you
did the Hague defense too? That was impressive. I was just I was just following orders. Straight faced, no irony. Pothead Joe's like, oh, that sucks, man.
My God. I just hate his fucking broccoli. Hair? Yeah, I was just about to fucking say, I hate that haircut. Why do they all have it?
Well, I think he's doing it to be like, hello, fellow children. I think so. I don't know why the kids are having it. But I mean, I remember that because back in the day, every decade, people used to look dramatically different. And in the 80s, people had really shitty hair, like perms and stuff too. But I think that was just because you just didn't want to look like your dad. I think that's what the Zoomer thing is here. Like, they're all out of ideas. Well, I can't do that because everybody's wearing everything now. And the broccoli haircut's the only one that's never been done before for good reason.
Yeah, apparently.
Like, they want to bring mullets back, but there's dudes in Florida right now that still rock mullets. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah, Joe dirtying it up, man.
What's the guy? The crocodile guy. Not the hunter, but the one who's like
Dundee.
in jail, I think.
Oh, who's this now?
Or Tiger King. That's the one.
Oh, that guy.
So, you'll forgive me. My big game hunter Florida archetypes, I'm all mixed up. Oh, that's funny. All right. Dave, you win this one.
Yeah. Please use my God. Wow. You know what? I'm fine with meta, but just give it to Indians. All right. That's
Oh yeah, dude, that's the dead internet theory. I think the worldwide internet theory is a bigger one. Once you saw that, I don't know if you watched the picture where they show you what the internet was like in 2004 or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like 500 million people from the States was like the biggest demographic was people in the States, or not 500 million, but like 200 million. And then everything kind of dropped off. And then you look at it now, it's like 1/3 China, 1/3 India, and then the rest of the world gets the last third. And China's behind the firewall. So it's essentially the internet kind of got bad, was just like, we got introduced to the Indian caste system on the internet, and it's been downhill ever since.
It's horrible. I mean, people talk about like the firewall around China. I mean, listen here. Someone will do an amazing service for humanity if you cut the internet cables to India. So.
Well, wasn't somebody saying that was what we should do? Like, it's a firewall, but it's not to keep us from going out; it's to keep them from coming in.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
And yeah, whatever. I don't want to bring this in a racist direction because it's like not productive. But yeah, the culture is just too different. I'm realizing this now. When like feminists are shitting on men do this and men do that, I think they're largely talking about guys from Southeast Asia. And I'm noticing this every time they get a pile on. It's always like, oh, it's weird. Broken English misogyny.
Bob's and Virgin.
Yeah.
There is I gotta find it really quick. There is an amazing interview and podcast that one of my friends, P. Quinones, did. I'm gonna put it in the chat. He interviewed one of these guys who's he's like one of these like world famous libertarians, hangs out with like Hans Hermann Hoppe or something, but he's from India, and he had the guy on for like a 2-hour discussion about what India is actually like, and holy fuck,
I remember that one. I think I know the one you're talking about.
Man, oh man. He's like, he's just listing off like all the things. He's like, yeah, you think you guys like in the West, like stealing's wrong. Yeah, that's not a thing in India. And he just goes through like all of these things. He basically lists like all the 10 commandments. He's like, yeah, none of these make any sense in India. Like nobody believes this stuff. It's like, holy fuck.
Well, yeah, we kind of got babied, because I know in the 80s and 90s we had a very, very small influx of Pakistani and Sikhs, but it was like the doctors, the very best of the best. They couldn't stand India. They sacrificed everything. They moved here. They were very, very good at what they did. And now we kind of got that, well, if these top 1% of the 1% were so great, everybody's got to be great. And now we're bringing in the rest. And we're kind of learning, like, what is the dirt poor Alabaman Indian type of person? And now we're seeing that. And I don't think people are liking it. Like, I still love that. You remember that one with the soy boy where he's talking about how there's like no women outside anymore? Have you seen this?
No.
Oh, it's the best TikTok ever. It's the guy, he literally looks like a soy jack, shaved head, goofy mustache, and he's kind of got like one of those higher pitched voices. And he's like, I want you to look at this. And it was a picture of New Year's Eve. It was either New York or Toronto. I can't remember which, where it was just the entire thing was all international students. And he goes, what do you think is missing here? And he's like, no, before you do this, I'm not going to be talking about the color of their skin or racism. It's like, there's no women. It's because they don't feel safe.
Wow.
And every time they go out there, they get accosted. And it was, and I've noticed that. It's like, just women aren't outside anymore, which kind of sucks now because, like, all of everybody's dating course was all about go outside and cold approach. You can't cold approach anymore.
No.
And this isn't new. I remember they called Toronto, its nickname was the place that pickup went to die because of that 90s immigration I was talking about, the 2000s hit. And because of all of these guys coming in, they even had a PhD student in University of Toronto. His PhD was showing the dynamic of pickup culture dying. And a lot of it was based on immigration and cultural differences. Like the guys were aggressive. I'm trying to, yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
They were a little bit too aggressive and they all did the same routines and it just scared everybody away from the thing. And so girls just treated it as like the biggest red flag. And it essentially killed the entire industry here for forever until MLD John came back. Single-handedly.
I hope he's doing well in Japan. You know, I'd get yours, man. So
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm all for it. That's what I love. Everybody has so much hate for him, and they're like, "Oh, he left the show. You guys must hate him too." And I'm like, "Dude, why? What's wrong with the guy? Oh, he's cocky and he's an asshole." It's like, oh my god, the guy who started making money and sleeping with chicks is acting cocky. Tell me more. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. I can't believe it. And he did all this stuff. Like, if I had to fault John for anything, the only thing I could fault him on was the putting on social media his liposurgery.
Yeah.
Like, and I get what he was trying to do, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't think that would play too well. But I mean, whatever. I mean, it did get him a lot of clout. It just sucks now. It's going to that's his version of like the cuck article when he goes on Sydney Watts and she's going to ask about it. But he'll be smart enough not to spurg out at least, so that's good.
This is why I'm keeping the anon literally for forever. No, I do not need people of the internet with too much time on their hands looking into my life. No, it's like there's this old quote. I forget where it's from. It might even be from like C.S. Lewis or something. But it basically is pray that the devil never takes interest in your life. It's like That's.
I was like C.S. Lewis on media clout. Now what world have we landed in here? You open that closet to Narnia, it's a rumble stream. Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously on my side, I've taken a lot of steps, and my job used to be a lot of this was about OPSEC and that. So, but it is a risk, and for most people, I don't think the risk is worth it because you think, what do you get from it? And for me, it was kind of like, well, when I went to do the convention speech, it was the cat's out of the bag, but I can at least manage and separate the personal and professional life. That's the one thing I think it's good for, is that it forces me to realize that the Ryan Stone stuff here, it's like wrestling, it's a work, and to not have it invade my personal life stuff. So it keeps me from going crazy, I hope. And anonymous guys, I don't know if you like your experience, you've been anonymous. Do you have that same segmentation, or do you find hot kind of invades into your personal life more than you're comfortable with?
I mean, I really don't have a problem keeping the two things separate. I mean, it is a kind of a problem in the sense of like, what are you doing on Thursday nights that you can't hang out with us? You know, like that kind of stuff. But you know, it's just like very like basic bitch minor kind of stuff. I mean, I guess the other thing is, well, you know, the girl grabs your phone and like the group chat comes up and it's like, oh, what's this? And it's like, oh,
you don't want to know.
Don't worry about that. No.
What did he call that guy? Oh, don't worry about that. It's a soft R.
Yeah.
It's fine.
or it's just like the other thing too, and this is probably like this is definitely like a personal flaw of mine, but I really love Twitter. I enjoy it quite a bit, so I'm on it way more than I should be. It's like you're on your phone.
Same.
And like just scrolling through your Twitter feed, and inevitably somebody's gonna like look over your shoulder or something. It's like, oh, what's that? It's like, nothing.
Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the trick, though. You got to scroll fast enough they can't follow it. To be fair, I am too. So it's like it's a normal thing. But the part I love about it is, like, you really do learn how to handle criticism from Twitter. 4chan, you can always just, it's very easy to dismiss. But on like Twitter, you'll have an anime profile picture, Austrian painter. You'll have a guy whose real name is a journalist for whatever. It's like every little strata of anonymity to fully in real life will be sitting there critiquing you. And you have to learn how to take it with some grace, with some humor, not to spurg out. And you see everybody who's ever fucked up. It's so great. Like, what do you not do? Don't worry, Twitter will show you what not to do. Every main character for the day. Here's what you definitely don't do. Don't bitch about how you got bullied in high school for big tits and then show big tits right afterwards.
Yeah.
Don't lose your shit on Nuke for calling you mid. Don't start ranting about like, oh, that was like the 17th miscarriage and now Nuke brought up the memories. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Or like that bitch that was tweeting like while she was in labor. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Aren't you delivering? Give me a minute. Jesus.
My God.
If you bought a kid from a surrogate, don't fucking show it off for the gram.
Again, it's like stuff. It's like I keep coming back to this, man. I'm telling you, it's like, and I don't even know how you do this at this point. Like I don't know, but just do not have your girl on social media. It just fucking rots their brains. I mean, it's one thing to like have them scroll, I guess, but like to actually have an account, like fuck no, do not. Oh my God. There's like, it just works for so few of them. And it seems to be the only ones that it does work for are the ones where the husband clearly has frame, And
I mean, you could play that risk if you want to, but why bother?
Yeah,
that's the other thing too. We actually had there was like a little bit of a scuffle on I think it was Redman Group, not even Rule Zero, or might have been like at the very beginning. But a bunch of people were it was the Redman Group because it was Zach Small, Murphy, Bruno, and one other guy. They were talking about bringing Donovan, and they were talking about let's start bringing the girls on here and we'll like get the wives' opinions. And it was like that's where you saw the demarcation line between clout and actual like sincere red pill. It's like Rollo and me and Rich on the one side and like Zach and Donovan and Murphy on the other side. We're like, dude, fucking no. Just no. But what do you mean? We can handle it. We can do this. It's like, no. I guarantee. And we're like, we laid out exactly how it plays. We used the Athel K story. He ended up homeless with a heart attack and his wife ruined his business and he loved her and she was great. It's like, whatever you think is going to happen here, it's not going to happen. Which thankfully, history repeats itself. And of course, then Zach started doing his podcast with this girl. His thing kind of tanked. And Murphy, well, I mean, he's still kudos to him with the new Christmas card where he welcomed the new member of their family, girl number 2. I'm going to double down on this poly thing. Fuck it. What more can they take from me? I'm like, all right, man, you got this. But yeah.
I think
here's one for you, by the way. PI 499. I love that I told Hawk I'm a J and then blocked me on Twitter. Keep doing the Lord's work, bro.
Hey, I mean, I block I have over 2,000 people blocked on Twitter, and I'm more and more block happy as the day goes by. I blocked that fucking Luffy guy. Came into my comments. He was fighting with people. I was like, okay, fuck you. Bye. You're gone. Well,
yeah, he's I don't hate the guy, but like, he's definitely an acquired taste, and it's got an aftertaste to it.
The thing is just that, like, if you say like one retarded thing, you're done. Particularly if you're not following me. It's like if you are following me, it's like, okay, maybe I'll give you like a break. But I really am a firm believer that if you're going to be on Twitter as much as I am, you have to have a severely like curated timeline. You have to
I don't
mute
blame
words. You have to block so many people, and mute like double as well. It's the only way.
I think you have to mute now
because
because blocking they can still see and you can still see them. For me, the blocking was just because I don't want to see it. It wasn't so much that I want people to see me or them to see my stuff. Just I don't want you on my timeline. I don't want you poisoning my audience's user experience. So I'm with you there.
Yeah,
I've kind of let up on it a little bit because I just take it so less seriously. And I'm at the point now where somebody's like, "Can you believe this guy's in your chat saying this stuff?" I'm like, I can't change that. If I block him, there's gonna be another one. It's fine. Maybe I need to be more aggressive like you, but I mean, clout-wise, it doesn't seem to matter. I've never seen anybody like, "Look at this chat log." Like, so I'm like, Plus, we've had this one guy who's been in our chat for like 4 years now.
Oh my god, yeah.
Every fucking stream, man. I don't know how he's this devoted.
Yeah, well, it's crazy.
I'm worried somewhere there's a shrine with like cum on a picture of my face somewhere with candles melting. Put the lotion on its skin level shit. I don't know where it is out there, but it's somewhere out there. It's gonna be some random dude who just stared at me a little too long. I go into the alleyway. Next thing you know, kidneys are gone. Done that.
Again, it's like there's people on the internet who have way too much time on their hands, and I don't want their attention.
I'm with. Sorry, dog medication.
Yeah.
I don't like it either. I mean, it's gonna happen, but I find it's actually hard to get attention. That's the one thing I love about this too. Well, it's like good and it's bad. It's hard to get attention, but in the same sense, one fuck up won't necessarily nuke you. That's what I love. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get canceled if I say anything." I'm like, dude, to get that many people riled up to like form a hate mob on you. Do you know how many people try to get that done for business purposes and like can't? Do you know how much money people have to spend?
Not everyone's
like
Nuke.
AstroTurf hate campaign.
Yeah,
Nuke had to curate his entire social media identity to like riling up the most neurotic, damaged women ever, to the point where he can just say mid, and then they know the whole backstory, and then they get to just yell at him for a while, and then he gets to have like a live stream and bring on a couple more viewers to it.
Hey man, hey, listen, credit to him. He's doing like this collaboration like Billy Pratt now on Twitter. They're doing like Twitter Spaces together like pretty much every day. I mean, hey, more power to him. You know,
he invited me on too. I went to the first one, and I was like, yeah, of course. Like I like Billy. He's another writer, another author. We've had some history done on the shows together. So he's like, yeah, come on the Twitter Space. We're going to talk about should guys date OnlyFans girls. I already kind of know, but I'm like, I come in, I'm like, sure. And then it was like 20 minutes in of him describing the life of an OnlyFans girl, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? So I just left, and I'm like, look, I wish you luck, man. This isn't the right. I'm not the right fit for you right now. No. He's like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I like Billy as a guy. I don't like how the really awesome stuff that he used to do has now just been completely overshadowed by screenshots from Reddit.
Yeah,
it's like his whole account is just Reddit screenshots. It's like, what do you think about this? It's like, I get it, man, but it sucks.
I know it's not your flavor anymore, and that's fine. You don't have to be. Like the same thing. MLD John's his streams talking about how rich and great he is. It's not my cup of tea either. I still like John. Still love John like a brother. But I mean that's okay. But that's to me that's different than when we're talking about like the Tate stuff or the Power or White Claw Power Hour, where they're
because they never did anything good. You know?
Yeah, there's no redeeming quality in there. The only redeeming quality is that really shitty weave that Myron got now. As soon as he got some money, he fixed that hairline, the Norwood thing. But it looks like that Jerry curl, like 1940s zoot suit dancing thing. I don't know where he got that done, Turkey or something. Don't go there. Get a better weave.
The only time I fucking see him is when somebody drops a clip of him in the chat. I mean, I have him blocked. I don't think about him. I try to pretend he doesn't exist. Him and that whole like Fuentard crowd. It's just I avoid them like the plague too. Like I have no desire to deal with that crap.
Yeah, because he managed to find all the people who have nothing but time on their hands.
Yeah, the
worst of the worst, and it's like
they're also the people that do nothing but fight with other people. Just like, okay, like I don't want you around. It's like only a vulture preys on his friends, and that's like all that these people do.
Which and I don't get why. Like he just wants to build himself up. I get that, but to what end? He doesn't. Does he even sell it? Does he have a book or a court? Like, does he sell anything at the other end?
Or is it just he has a book that Cappy wrote. You know, I mean,
is that the Project Evo?
But
that's what I mean. Like, so what's the purpose of this? It just seems like marketing for marketing's sake, and it's just I can't trust.
Yeah,
I don't know what his end game is. At least with Tate, I knew like, oh, at the end he just wants you in the war room to give him money. I get that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so bizarre because I don't understand why you go and court somebody like Fuentes' audience, because like they don't have money, you know, so like you're not like getting like major backing from these people because they're all like a bunch of, you know, to borrow a term from like Vince, they're all a bunch of like sexless dorks, you know. So, and they're clearly like the most toxic people in the world. I mean, yeah, maybe like directionally on some of their opinions, like they're broadly correct, but
if
they
you
do
say
it
100 things, you're gonna get something right.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is like if you say it in like the most inflammatory way possible, it's like, yeah, you're gonna get eyes on it, but it just turns way more people off than wakes people up. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go on Piers Morgan and rant about the special group and how they murder babies and drink their blood. And it's like, well, I mean, you might be correct, but, you know, like going off in this manner is just turning way more people off.
Yeah, and well, you got to rant with Pierce too. Like Vox, absolutely right with the Social Justice Warriors Always Lie book. I think it's a great book. I think more people should read it. I think you should expand it outside of just for media in general. Because Pierce isn't just a guy doing a podcast. He's got a crew behind him. And they have a well-oiled machine that's designed to like beat down your clout for like a scrap of entertainment. It's like the most predatory thing I've ever seen. And people just go in there because they see, oh, he's on national TV. It's like the clout thing. If I get on there, some of his national TV audience is going to come see me. It's like, nobody's going to come see you. Nobody cares.
The thing
like,
is, too, is that
can you think of a reality TV star whoever went on one of them stupid reality TV shows and then leveraged that into a Hollywood career?
Yeah,
I can't think of one.
Yeah.
The American Idol ones. They keep saying like, oh, remember this famous star? There's like, the show's been on for 20 seasons, 17 different versions of the show. There's like Michael Bublé, I think, and like the one fat chick. And that's like the only two people that have ever made a career of music out of it.
It's Carrie Underwood.
Oh, Carrie Underwood. That's the one.
Yeah.
Sorry, not the fat one. Carrie Underwood. But yeah, like literally better chance of winning the lottery. But people keep buying into that whole, oh, well, they're going to try to drain me of my blood, but there's a chance. There's just a chance. And they buy onto that, not realizing you're not going to make it. They're going to suck it dry. Ellen did the same thing. She would, everybody who like, somebody made the point of Hawk-Twa girl. Hawk-Twa in an insane timeline would have gone on Ellen. Ellen would have milked that fame and then thrown her aside and you'd never hear from her again.
No.
And they always said that she was like,
instead she did it herself. Instead, she did it herself by what is she like? Do like a shit coin pump and dump or something?
Yeah, the meme coin dump.
Yeah, and I think in her case, she was just like taken for a ride by somebody because she's just like too dumb to know any better. Which again, another one of these girls that could have just totally been, you know, in a saner world. You know, she would have been perfectly fine. You know, like GF or housewife or something, you know, like the soccer mom that sucks the dad's dick in the parking lot, you know, as soon as she drops off the kids.
Well, even if she was going for the fame thing, it like what's a roll without, she was right with the too much, too soon, too fast. Had she done it the long route, she would have learned all of these lessons without having a catastrophic blow up in her face. She would have learned about people are sometimes just using her to get their own means and then maybe made a mistake when she was 500 followers. That's kind of another reason I like a lot of the guys I was talking about before, or you and that, is that nobody here was like given an audience. They all, every fucking one of you guys, you had to claw for it. You had to earn every single one. Nobody was given to you. And then every mistake you made, trusting a guy who was too complimentary, or working with a guy who yells at you from his Toyota Tacoma, or or wanting to collab with a guy who gets arrested at the Capitol building.
Yeah, I mean, you really do see it though, like all the stuff you're talking about, because you know, obviously, like I'm president of an organization that's you know, really making serious gains in the right-wing political sphere and the commentary, and I get DMs from people like who want to come on the show, and then they're like, "Oh well, I'm good with like Tuesdays or Wednesdays." It's like, dude, we stream fucking Thursdays. You don't watch my shit. Fuck you. You know, and you're asking like, "Oh, well, this is my schedule." It's like, fuck you, dick. You know,
yeah. Well, it's like when they're like, "Oh, I love Rion's work." Like,
yeah. Oh my god. It's like that line from Seinfeld. I don't think you do. You know?
And I don't want to embarrass the guy because, like, if he's coming on my show, there is some like, okay, we're collabing, that's fine. And As long as you don't fucking spurg out, I'm not going to make a TV ad from you. So
it's like the most like lawyer moment ever. You know?
Yeah, but I do like there's like an audience wink to that where they're like, what did you just call him?
Yeah.
It's fine. Tell me more.
I think I remember that show too because like you gave him the look, you know, you get like your classic like face, like.
Yeah, this shit. I don't know. It's just like, how can you not laugh? It's so funny when you realize it. It's all fake and phony, which is fine, but it's just lazy. That's what gets me. Is lazy. How hard would it have been to put on any one of my streams, and then seeing somebody mention my name in the first 30 seconds? Oh, Ryan. All right, that makes sense.
It really is. A lot of people did a lot of deep dive digging during this whole Jeet Gate that was going on around Christmas with Elon and everyone defending the H-1Bs. And of course you had all of like the normie con conservative like grifter types, which is perfectly exemplified in that Patrick Bet David character. He's like, yeah, I came from Iran because my parents were in the back of like the Shah of Iran and we got expelled and we came to America and I got my wealth through a multi-level marketing scam that I did with my family members. Yeah, I'm a hard worker. I'm just like the boomer conservatives that worked 80 hours a week with nothing but my wit and brawn, you know, to build this multi-empire. And here I am, like, I look nothing like I'm upper class at all. I look like I'm aping,
it's the most kitsch, new money aesthetic, whatever.
It's all fucking bullshit, all of it. And then he's talking about like how we need all these hard workers from the third world to come in. It's like, fuck you, dude. You just got here. You're a fucking liar. You didn't work for any of your money. You're just a bullshitter. All these people are just shysters. And it's like that whole sphere. There's like kind of like people who are adjacent to like actual red pill stuff, like intersexual dynamics, just like the adjacent like grind set people. And every one of these people are fucking fake. All of them. They're all liars. None of them are real.
I love it. I loved it though, because I got so much shit. Every time I kind of have him treated the same as Myron. He's just muted off my timeline, whatever. But if somebody sends something to me, I'll shit post because I have no fucking willpower. And it's always like, hey, who should I have on the show to talk about this thing? I'm like, how about anybody who's worked with you in the past? And everybody's like, why are you getting so mad at him and mad at him this? And then now it's like, hey, I was fucking right, wasn't I? I loved it. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, marketing. Or him and who's the other one? He was going to be, was it president or vice president? Vic. He was like the well-spoken Indian guy who was going to be president.
Oh,
Vivek.
my God. Yeah.
And they're finding out the same thing. He was basically the Elizabeth Holmes of India.
Yeah, that's what he was. He had a fake Alzheimer's drug and he sold out all the investors and pocketed all the money. And on top of that, he's an anchor baby. His parents came here illegally. And like he's an American citizen because he was born on U.S. soil, and he's talking about our founding fathers. It's like, fuck you, literally.
Not
fuck
a single redeeming quality.
Yeah,
either. Not
there's
one.
nothing here. Yeah, fuck this guy. Yeah, it's the same thing when the chosen people come in. It's like, hello, fellow white people. You know, we worked really hard with our founding fathers. It's like, fuck you. You people just got here.
Worst part is too, it would get, even in Canada, we just had that. Christy Clark. She used to be. Oh, fuck if I get this right. She used to be a conservative premier of Ontario, I think it is. Or no, BC. Horrible track record. You don't need the details. It's basically one of those ones like you're a fucking sellout kind of thing. Mm-hmm. She's trying to run for the Liberal Party of Canada leadership. And then people were calling her out like, hey, weren't you just like running as a conservative last week? What the hell happened with this? And what happened with... And then she just lied about it because she's like Hulk Hogan, right? Where like back in the day, you could just lie. Nobody will check on it, but not realizing it's the internet and people instantly knew. It's
like this.
So funny.
It's like the Tim Walz character who just tried to run for vice president, and he had like this bit because like this is the problem with like American politicians. They're all like 85 fucking years old, so they've been on TV for forever, and everyone can go back now with the internet to look at all the stupid shit they've said. And this Tim Walz guy is talking about how he was there in Tiananmen Square. Like he said this in like a couple speeches. It's like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? You dumbass. It was like, yeah, I was there in Tiananmen Square with the Chinese, you know, fighting the Chinese communists. It's like, fuck you, dude. Just they're all
it's just
like
so shameless
liars.
though. Like, can you blame them? Like if this worked, imagine if all you had to do was just tell the stupidest, biggest lies ever. And you get there. No wonder why the boomers are so like amazingly confident. Just say whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, brother.
I
was always I always put everybody up on
it. Must be true. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing, and I get it. And I bet you anything nowadays it would probably work better because I think Trump was the example of what was that line he did in the first debate? We're reaching back to like 2016. I know the laws are corrupt because I use them all because that's the only way you can do business now. I had to hire China to build this stuff because have you seen the numbers? They've made it so it's impossible to hire Americans. But he was like honest about it, and I think people kind of respected that a bit more. Like if Vivek, because like, look, I'm an anchor baby, but I want to pull the ladder out from behind me and get all these. I think that would have probably played a lot better than hello, fellow Heartlanders.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I mean, Ann Coulter has like a lot of knocks against her record, but there's one thing. She did this amazing thing. It was during the middle of the debate season. This is like when Trump was, still dealing with everyone and their grandmother trying to sue him for retarded stuff, and they weren't having him on the debate stage, which honestly was the right move for him, like to not show up. But Vivek was the one who was making all the gains and going up against Ron DeSantis, and he does a podcast with Ann Coulter, and Ann Coulter just in like the first 5 minutes flat out says, "I will never vote for you because you're Indian and you're not American." And I'm like, wow,
oh my god, you said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, that's like good for you, Ann. To be honest, that's the correct answer. Good for you.
I mean, like I again, whether I agree with stuff or not doesn't even matter. I just like being in a place where that can be open.
Oh yeah,
it's honest. At least you know the ground rules. You know where you stand. You know all this stuff. The fact that Americans are like, I don't want you in the 51st state. I'm like, that's at least a starting point, as opposed to Canadians like, fuck you, we're proud, we'll burn your White House down again. And I like joking about that, but like they're serious, like don't fuck with us.
Well, I love some of the jokes that have been, well, the United States is going to buy Greenland and annex Canada, and then we're going to Trail of Tears all the Indians to Greenland. It's gonna be cowboys and Indians again, but this time it's just different Indians.
And and we were supposed to have like New York and Chicago and that, but when we did the initial negotiations during the Revolutionary War for where to put the parallel, America had sent a bunch of like hardcore zealots to negotiate, while the Brits sent a bunch of moderates, and so you guys basically bullied us into moving the parallel up a couple degrees, and that's where we lost like about half the population we would have had just from that.
Well, I mean, look at you guys. You were harboring like Benedict Arnold and a bunch of other, turncoats. Well,
I mean, they're turncoats to you. To us, it was called the loyalty list. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like they were loyal to Britain, Britain, why wouldn't they harbor them?
So,
but that's fine. No hard feelings. You guys seem to have done well for yourself outside of it, and we can't really blame you for any of our problems. Technically, I could blame the Quebecs. I didn't realize this until Wilhelm historian. He's like Zoomer historian, but for Canada.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize the whole reason that we lost America was because once Quebec got separated from France and then Britain had to buy it, we had to bribe them to keep them as part of Lower Canada. And then that's where we had to make the tax that caused the whole Boston Tea Harbor incident, was to pay for that, because we already had a bunch of wars going on, which were expensive enough. And this
well,
so
the 7
Quebec
years
is the whole
war
reason
with the
that you guys were
French.
done.
Yeah.
So us having to buy off Quebec was the whole reason America is like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm out. I'll never forget Quebec for that now that I know.
I mean, as much as it is kind of a meme and it's not going to happen, even though like part of me really wants to, because I do believe that America has claim to this entire hemisphere, and every country in it belongs to the United States. But it's not going to happen. But for my own personal, I don't know what you call it, like selfishness, I just want Canada for your wilderness, because man, it's just really, really beautiful, and I want to hunt. I want to hunt some of your game. I want to hunt a polar bear.
Oh Jesus Christ, that's a tough one. Their skulls are all sloped, so it's like tank armor. The bullet just deflects off, and they got like the thicker skull, and they're the bigger ones.
Yeah,
go after a grizzly. It's easier. At least they're 3-inch thick skin.
Well, I want to shoot one
eventually
of those
get a bullet through.
But
you just have to shoot the same hole 3 times to get it penetrating enough.
The thing is, here's one thing that I will a personal bugbear of mine, and I will never forgive George W. Bush for this, is that during his administration, he outlawed the importation of polar bear pelts to the United States because they're on the Endangered Species Act, and there are still to this day 20 to 25 like trophies that are frozen in Nunavut for American trophy hunters who shot them, legally harvested them, but they just cannot import them because they weren't able to get it in time for the importation ban. So I'm like, literally, fuck you, dude. Just
you're gonna hate me then. My in-laws, they have a spare house on their property, and a taxidermist is over there. I was just down there for Christmas. 3 polar bear
Wow.
Like done up, the eyes put back in. They're all done and ready to go.
Wow.
Just walked around. I was like, yeah, polar bears is kind of cool. Just walked by. I'm like, whatever. I didn't realize now it was like the equivalent of me looking over and seeing you with prosperity, me going like, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just a big thing for me. It's one of the things I want to do more this year, by the way, is get back to writing on my own Substack, more of my hunting stuff, compile all the posts together, do a book like what everyone's doing.
Like just for my own selfish thing, I love it because I'm not lying when I say there's nothing that's been new or inventive or good in the Red Pill since 2015.
Yeah,
so just watching, even if it's not Red Pill, just watching like you and Nuke eventually and Jack like writing seriously and doing stuff fucking warms my heart, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, yeah, and whatever you guys come up with, it'll probably be stuff that I'd never think of. I might even disagree with it or whatever, but like it's not my place to say, because there's a lot of shit that came out in my generation that I disagreed with too.
Mm-hmm.
But it does be nice to see people actually doing things again, as opposed to just taking Zin and watching White Claw Power Hour.
Yeah, I mean, it is just like really neglected. Like I haven't written like a post on my own Substack in like 2 years. All my stuff has just been on the OGC, and like it does really well there. There's been some awesome stuff that I've written that has done some serious numbers, but you know, I would like to get back to, you know, just something that's just for me. You know? Yeah,
I think you'll like it. I mean, it's well written. That's the good part. Me, I fucking started. I was illiterate. I'm still barely literate. That's why I have to pay Nick. You can always tell when it's like, did he edit this? I'm like, no. Like, I know. But your Manifest Destiny thing, I actually like it. So I don't know if you know this about the Canadian. Canada's not a country. You don't have we have a culture. Our culture is one based in the insecurity of having the most powerful country next door to us.
Yeah,
it feels like,
it's like we're not Americans.
Yeah, it feels like Greece during the Roman times. Like I think that's the best parallel I can think of. We used to be great. Like but so normally what happens is America is perfectly fine to, you know, we'll NORAD, NATO. You know how Europe's always like, you guys pay for security, we'll make social programs.
Yeah.
Canada's like 3 times as much of that because we also have the 2 big oceans in the way. So we have nothing to worry about. For us, the military is almost like a social signal as opposed to like a serious military, at least in my experience and what came after. But it's so funny because eventually when America's had enough, they give you that like, hey, cut that shit out. And then we cut that shit out. I guarantee you that like tariff threat fucking snapped a bunch of people. Yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of chattering people bitching about this and their paychecks and whatever. But I guarantee you the people whose like livelihoods and corporate things matter based on exports are gonna be like, hey, sort your shit out, man. These tariffs.
Yeah, isn't like 85% of your trade with the US?
Yeah. And then what are the liberals doing right now? They're like, oh, hey, China just offered to have stronger economic ties with us. It's like, really?
Oh my God. No, we're finding
all the real estate they own isn't enough for them.
Yeah, we're finding a bunch of these now. So far, it's just been Democrats, but no doubt they're deep in like Republicans too, because I'm sure a bunch of them have jungle fever. I mean, well, there is the one big one with Mitch McConnell, this octogenarian guy who's in charge of the Republicans. His wife is the daughter of the head of the finance department for the CCP.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? You know, but we're finding a bunch of these like Chinese spies now are working in like American
You guys
offices.
got them too?
Yeah.
We have 42 in Parliament, 11 of them actual MPs. And one of our it's like I guess you guys don't even know about this. CSIS, our version of I guess they'd be the equivalent of the CIA. Yeah, there are CIA, CSIS. They came out with this report that in 2014 that China's trying to, you know, infiltrate or whatever. And it kind of got brushed aside, whatever, we're Canada, we don't care. Then, after a whole bunch of, I guess, being shut down by Trudeau, they just leaked it, saying, just so you know, 11 members of Parliament are actively working with China right now as agents. 42 people altogether. There was like a big thing where they keep trying to get the conservative leaders was like, hey, what are the fucking names? We deserve to know. It's like, no, security, you can't say this. Like, why don't you get your security clearance? Then you would know. It's like, well, then I can't talk about it. So like, no. And it's been like a big hullabaloo for the longest time. And it's still there. Like they're running their leadership race right now for the conservative or for the liberals. You don't have to be a Canadian citizen to vote for the new party leader. You only have to be over the age of 14. And they say like, kind of be on the same page. That's it. You could be a student, you could be fucking foreign, whatever. A lot of people were joking around and putting like I am ping and nominating themselves in there. So yeah, there's like literal foreign agents, no checks and balances for citizenship in order to vote for the leader. And whoever wins this liberal thing will become the de facto prime minister for 3 months. So we could literally have a Chinese spy running the country for like half a year.
I mean, there's a lot of damage you could do in that time. I mean, just look at this like lame duck period that Biden has now, which is such like a holdover of a time. Like, okay, it's not 1850 anymore. Congressmen don't need to ride 2 months across America to get to Washington, D.C. This is just stupid and archaic. We shouldn't have this anymore. But here they are. They're lighting fires in Syria, in Russia, and you know, like literally in this case in like L.A. You know, oh yeah, here you go, Trump. You know, come in and clean up all this mess that we've just made in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it's nice at least you have your own Kim Campbell moment. That's the Canadian one. So we had this before in the 80s. Party was so unpopular they had a leadership race. Mulrooney, our version of Reagan, had a leadership race. This chick Kim Campbell won, and she got to run for like 3 months. And that was it. And that's all she got. But now she gets to have her poster on the wall of Prime Ministers of Canada. She gets to be the first Prime Minister. She gets to go on talk shows, have a good speaking tour. That's why everybody's like freaking out right now. It's not because they want to be Prime Minister, but they know they're going to get nuked from orbit the minute they get in. But they just want to have their name on the plaque as like a resume builder. So that's why I was like, that Indian guy who can't even speak French, get him. Let's have him run it. It's like, what could he possibly do? How much damage could he do that we haven't already done to ourselves?
Yeah, I guess it's a fair point. Well,
but that's just me. It's like how you were saying you kind of like the accelerationist a bit. I'm like, yeah, fuck it.
I mean, kind of in the sense of, you know, like accelerationist in your solutions, in the sense of there's no voting our way out of our problems. Because like voting essentially got us into this problem in the first place. Like this idea that, oh yeah, it's a great idea. We can, you know, the founding fathers totally had to envision that we're gonna import 80 IQ Mexicans in our country and let them vote. Yeah, that's totally what they had in mind. Yeah, right.
Pressing F to doubt.
Yeah. This is some bullshit. So it's like, yeah, accelerationist in the sense of, yeah, you just need to go in, fire a bunch of people, you know, threaten people with the use of force if you have to, because that's just what needs to be done. And then, but on like the sense of, oh, we need to, you know, elect Democrats to make things way worse, and because that'll accelerate, and then magically people will wake up. It's like, dude, they're still leftists in South Africa, you know. It's like it's never gonna work, you know. This idea that you're just gonna have this populist uprising when people get mad enough, and eventually one day the rednecks are gonna come out with their guns, even though they're like 300 pounds overweight, and overthrow the government. It's just fucking bullshit. It's never gonna happen.
For me, I was thinking more of the LA fires. You know how there's like those roving gangs of people just like looting everything in the Palisades from all the rich people who had no idea that this is what America was like for people. They're used to like,
it's crazy.
And well, that's what I mean in acceleration. It's like, okay, so this is what you wanted, enjoy it for a bit. Like the one side, like average person is already hurting. For me, I'm like, if that guy gets in and he just like pilfers the pension funds, and then people's indexed pensions are at stake, and then they start hurting, like, I think until it hurts you personally, a lot of people just like pretend it doesn't happen, and so part of me wants to like hurt a little bit, get punched in the face once or twice. That'll sort out your mouth real quick.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what happens with this with California now with all these fires, because Trump definitely has the opportunity to do something pretty badass here and basically like run that state like a feudal king, in the sense of, because California is broke, they're billions of dollars in debt, and they're going to need federal funds to rebuild all this shit, and Trump could basically say, I'm withholding funds unless you do XYZ things. Does he have the balls to do it? Let's fucking hope. But
if anybody does, it's him. I will say this. The one thing as a Canadian that I enjoy about Trump is that he shows you the edge of the Overton window. Like, you can at least go that far. And I'm like, I hope so. But I guess Rule Zero's starting up, so we should probably end this. Any closing thoughts before we call it?
I enjoy talking to you. That's my closing thought. You know? Thank
you, by the way. I know I don't do politics much on here. I don't like doing politics, but you know, Hawk has had a plan for us doing this, like, I don't know, once a month and a half, whatever. I'm so glad you remind me, because I am so shitty at scheduling. So never think like I don't want to do these anymore. Just remember it's like he's probably fucking lost track of whatever. But I would love to do these more often.
Yeah, we could do it
My
at the
StreamYard
end of
recordings
tax
too. There's
season.
like, I think we've done 4 now. I think this is the 4th one.
Sweet. Yeah, at the end of tax season, I'll come back and we'll do a catch up because I work on Saturdays, so we'll be able to.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
fun times then.
Yeah, fun times indeed. But it's that time of year. Well, work hard so you can play hard later. It's
fair point.
That's how it goes. So
well, good luck with tax season then. For the rest of you guys, enjoy. I don't know who's hosting Rule 0 today. I'm on StreamYard, so I can't do the thing. So you'll have to find it on your own. Check you later.
79T 2458 Learning Corp Little Red Riding Hood, take 1.